NFL, the Titans made one big splash, signing former Steelers left tackle Dan Moore Jr. to a 4-year, $82 million deal with $50 million guaranteed. The Titans also signed linebacker Cody Barton on a 3-year, $21 million deal and brought back long snapper Morgan Cox on a 1-year, $1.4 million deal. They also extended offensive lineman Andrew Rupchich and cornerback Darrell Baker. There was plenty of quarterback movement yesterday, including Sam Darnold to Seattle on a 3-year deal worth over $110 million, $55 million in guaranteed money, and Justin Fields signed by the Jets on a 2-year, $40 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. Daniel Jones has a new home, and it is in the AFC South. He is headed to Indianapolis, signing a 1-year deal with the Colts worth up to $14 million. The University of Tennessee will hold its pro day today in Knoxville. 16 former Vols will be in action. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
All right, I guess we're going to do this every day until free agency officially begins. Welcome in. On this Tuesday morning, we got Bert, we got Lucas. We have you for the next 3 hours, 615-737-1045. Who's getting paid? It's Dan Moore and the linebacker, Cody Barton, that they added from the Denver Broncos yesterday. 2 free agents signed. 2, or rather 3, free agents retained by the Tennessee Titans on the first day of legal tampering. They have a lot of work yet to do in a variety of different departments. Your phone calls are welcome. How did you take in the first day of free agency with the Titans relative to what you saw the rest of the league do? 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to get involved there. We would be happy to have you. The F&M Bank Chat available on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Lucas made a terrible mistake. Tell the audience what you've done.
So we reached out to Charles Davis. I texted him on Wednesday asking about availability for next week. And, oh, no, it is today. So Charles Davis should be popping up any minute.
Was so ready to hit you with...
that's usually the case.
Was so mad at you for about 2 seconds there. But, okay, Charles Davis will be here momentarily, and we will react to the first day of free agency. So Titans signed 2 external players and keep 3 of their own. I think that I have struggled with the Dan Moore deal. I'm not mad at Dan Moore. I'm mad at the Titans for being in the situation that they're in. But I understand that they have to go about solving this as best they can, and that's a part of the equation. So I will put aside my angst, or as much of my angst as I can, about the Dan Moore deal. Cody Barton deal, off-ball linebackers, a lot of them getting paid, a lot of them staying with their original teams.
Don't want to let those guys go.
Well, there are a couple of players, and the Titans, that are in need of off-ball linebackers. The Kenneth Murray deal was a bad one. It did not satisfy what they needed out of a player on that kind of a deal. I don't think that means that Kenneth Murray necessarily gets cut, even though they would save about $7 million if they did it. But Cody Barton is coming in here to solidify a room that's very much in flux with a 4th-round pick in Cedric Gray that didn't play hardly at all last year, and a 7th-round pick in James Williams that used to be a safety.
Dude plays. That's one common thread so far.
Availability. Yep.
Between Cody Barton and Dan Moore.
That's what it is. So, this is where we're at with the Titans in free agency. A veteran quarterback solution is still something that they need. I'm kind of resigned to, all right, they're going to sign a mid to below average wide receiver to go into this room because they just need bodies as far as the wide receivers go, and they could still sign an offensive guard. There's a lot of them. A lot of them have already gotten deals. And there are still some options out there that can plug in to your right guard problem if you were not going about it via the draft process. But that's where we're at with the Titans in free agency right now. Legal tampering. Free agency doesn't begin until 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Why do we do it that way?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why don't we just say free agency?
Legal tampering was basically the week at the combine.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that, the tampering has already happened.
I mean, listen, I'm just going by what's on my NFL schedule. Legal tampering opened yesterday at 11 a.m., and by then we had half the deals in place at 11 a.m. So I wish that I had a better solution for you there, but this is the calendar that the league has set up, so I guess I will go by the official windows that they have here. Because by the time we get to free agency, yes, the contracts will actually be signed, but all of the news, all of the transactions that all of you are so thirsty for, you'll know, basically, where everything's going at this point. So a left tackle and an off-ball linebacker. How's morale?
A lot of needs still.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wide receiver room in particular and seeing Calvin Ridley and Traylon Burks and Mason Kinsey.
Jaquan
Jackson. But those are the names that we're talking about there. And I'm looking at edge rusher.
Which it is not a good free agent class for edge rushers.
Right, and the premier edge rusher in this class, whether you think that's Josh Sweat, whether you think that's Khalil Mack, both of those guys are either at new homes or remaining in their respective home. In the case of Khalil Mack, who signed a one-year, $18 million deal with the Chargers. So that right now is Arden Key and a seventh-round pick in Jalen Harrell.
Oof.
So a lot of work still to be done on this roster, which we knew. Safety as well. Javon Holland will not be a Tennessee Titan. That's the name we were talking about a lot here.
Javon Holland, you are a New York Giant.
So, just kind of having a keen eye. Again, demand outweighing supply is a common theme for this team and for the quarterback position across the league this year, this offseason. And that rings true still after day one of legal tampering.
Quarterback contracts that have since gone down, obviously, since last time we got together are Sam Darnold to the Seahawks and Daniel Jones to the Indianapolis Colts. Charles Davis of the NFL Network. Of course, their exhaustive draft coverage is where you can see him. He's also on the NFL for CBS as well. You can hear him on Forklift Systems Football Saturday, of course, with Coach Doug Matthews right here on 104.5 The Zone. Charles, thank you for taking some time this morning, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hope you guys are doing well. It's good to see you again since we waved at each other a few times in Indianapolis. And I just love legal tampering. It's my favorite part because it's just like jumbo shrimp when you go to order, I mean, just the oxymoronic nature of it all. But everyone tries to make it feel good. It's kind of like years ago. You remember there were some issues with the Cowboys going on, and one of the players had gotten in trouble. I think it was Michael Irvin. And Jerry Jones said he was trying to do the wrong thing the right way. That's one of the all-time great quotes.
Jerry, just a wordsmith, That's just,
absolutely.
Just always has something to say.
I remember thinking for all of us out there, could we roll that one? Could we run that one in our situations and see how far that one went?
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out you have to be very, very good at what it is that you do for that to be okay in most workplace settings. Charles, Lucas was just asking me before you jumped on, why do we even bother with the legal tampering thing? Can we not just call it free agency at this point? Because by the time we get to Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central, Charles, we're going to know where everybody in the league is going, even if pen hasn't been put to paper.
We're done. I don't know. It's a great question, Buck. I think that ultimately I just kind of count it like old college recruiting when National Signing Date came up. And at a certain time of day when you could start to put the pen to paper and then everything was all okay. We knew where everyone was going, quote unquote. I think the flipping of players has been much more of late. Nowadays, I'm not even involved in it now. But you know what I'm talking about. We used to be, was it the second Tuesday in February or the first Tuesday in February? As soon as the moment started, back when fax machines were a thing, the faxes started piling in with the signatures of the players, and everybody was tallying them up, and we got this kid and we got that kid and the whole deal. That's what this feels like to me. I remember when this thing first started, the legal tampering, there was actually a team that was outside the gates of the player's house waiting for midnight to strike so they could go in and make their pitch. I don't think many of them do it like that anymore, but that's kind of the way I just kind of envision it, go with it. But I think you make a great point. We might as well just call it what it is and call it a day.
Well, obviously, we're not going to call it a day just yet because there's a lot more deals that have to be done. Teams like the Titans and teams across the NFL still have a great many needs to address. Obviously, this sets the table and can help us adjust our thinking, or at least help fill in some blanks about what teams are thinking ahead of the draft process, of course, which is the next touch point of the NFL offseason. But Charles, I guess as you see the kind of deals that are being handed out, quarterback is going to attract the most attention. The amount of quarterback movement that we've seen, understanding that the draft is still yet ahead of us, what did you make of Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and now Daniel Jones to the Indianapolis Colts on a one-year, $14 million deal?
I think it's a direct correlation to how they view the draft, and I think that I don't have it in front of me. You guys will have it better than I will. Maybe you can jog my memory a little bit, but I don't remember anything close to this free agent quarterback wise last year because the draft was full of riches with quarterbacks. So, and we really got it, didn't we? I mean, this is one of those times where in my lifetime, most of the times, if you had two quarterbacks taken at the top of the draft, it was essentially one was going to be okay and one was going to struggle.
Yeah.
Like career-wise. It was almost like a 50-50 deal. Last year, there were 6 in the first 12 picks. One of them didn't play at all because he was injured. But the other 5 played. And not only did they played to a level that every one of them is going to be the starter next year. Like it's not even it's not even a discussion point. None of this bringing them along slow. They all showed flashes. They essentially proved why they were picked where they were picked. That's really an unusual thing. We'll see how it continues in their career. But this year, Buck, Lucas, when you think about it, we have the 2 at the top. But most times when you talk with people, hey, if you put them in last year's draft, you're talking about 2 players in Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, or Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I don't care how you want to group them. Most of them would have to be, I'd say the best rankings would be if they were like the 5th best quarterback in last year's draft. Most of people have them probably right there with Bo Nix, who was the 6th ranked quarterback, okay, and just take it and go from there. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be great pros. We never know. But the feeling of this year and the enthusiasm for going and getting a quarterback early is not quite the same, not even close. That's why I think there's a huge flurry for these veteran quarterbacks that are out there.
Charles Davis here with us on 104.5 The Zone, reacting to day one of legal tampering, if not free agency.
And Charles, free agency is always, and legal tampering, I guess I should say, is always...
Say it correctly, Lucas, or somebody from the league is going to throw you into a van and run away with you.
Throw a bag over my head, drag me out of this studio. But it's just more information, right? And it's more info to add to the equation as we try to decipher what direction these teams are going to go, especially at the top of the NFL draft. Your first mock draft on NFL.com came out about 6 days ago, so obviously before all these moves started flying, and you have the Titans taking Shedeur Sanders, number 1 overall, the Browns taking Cam Ward, number 2 overall. We've now seen the moves the Titans have made, bringing in a veteran left tackle, $82 million contract, signing an off-ball linebacker. They have yet to bring in a free agent quarterback. Is there anything about the last day or so that has impacted your opinion on the Titans and the number 1 overall pick in the draft?
No, it really hasn't. And I love Buck, how you tell them, hey, you better get it right. Years ago, if you said a preseason game was an exhibition game, that's when the NFL would have thrown a bag over your head and taken off. You never use the word exhibition. If you use the word exhibition, they'd lose their mind. It's a preseason game, okay? Anyway, going on from there, nothing's impacted because I'm still thinking the Titans are still in the same spot. Mike Bargonzi, the new general manager, Chad Brinker, who's running everything over there now. I don't see how anything's changed. Are they still open for business at number 1? The answer would be yes. Who's going to call? What kind of offer are we going to get? Do you still consider not taking a quarterback if you get a veteran guy? I haven't seen them pick up a veteran guy. I don't know if they want to go Will Levis and then we'll just see what happens down the road. So I'm not sure that's the thing, because otherwise it opens up Abdul Carter. It opens up Travis Hunter. You get the whole idea. Or you have conviction on a quarterback, you like that guy, you take him. And guys, you know as well as I do, the math has changed so much that you need to keep swinging at the quarterback. Remember the days when you'd swing and miss and your franchise was set back X number of years? That went away. If we didn't know it before the Cardinals moved up to take Josh Rosen at 10 that 1 year, and he promised to wreak havoc on the league, which he never did. And then the very next year at 1, they took Kyler Murray. That's when if you didn't know the math before, you learn the new math. You can take a quarterback every year. You can figure it out elsewhere. You have to have that player. So if the Titans have conviction, if they like Shedeur Sanders, if they like Cam Ward, whoever it is, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd go ahead and take him. That's what I would do. But we'll have to see what they get. We'll see what kind of offer. Last thing I'll say is somewhere John Robinson's statement about getting a king's ransom at 1 always rings. This is not the year for the king's ransom is going to be offered.
Charles hasn't. No, and it seems like at this point, depending on how the rest of the day goes or the rest of the next couple of days goes, like it sounds like it's basically the Giants bidding against themselves for the number 1 overall pick. There could be a team out there that we don't know, obviously, but the Giants are the team that is most reported to have interest in that first overall pick. So to your point, though, go ahead, Charles.
Buck, real quick, the Jets kind of eliminated themselves, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're talking Justin Fields, right? 2 years, $40 million, right?
And the Raiders, that went. Those were the 2 most likely that we're talking about in the top 10, right? I don't know that anyone's going to come up like that year they did for John Robinson, because didn't the Rams start at like 15 and work their way all the way up to 1?
Yes.
Don't see that happening.
Going back to your point about taking swings on quarterbacks until you hit on one.
Yeah.
Hasn't the timeline on coaches and executives in the league been sped up to the point, Charles, where they have no choice but to go about their business that way, regardless of whether that's the best route to developing these young men or not? Because it seems that we are churning and burning through quarterbacks at a higher rate, if for no other reason than the league's patience with coaches and executives has also trimmed down to the point where if you don't get results basically in year 2, we'll find somebody else who can.
I think that you've nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Let's put it to you this way, for amongst the 3 of us and anyone listening, think back to the last time an executive or a coach went to the podium after getting a new job and announced that he or she had a 5-year plan. They don't exist anymore. That used to be standard. And you expected to get the 5 years, unless things were just so abysmal you had to go after 3 or 4. But those days are long gone. I mean, we're dumping coaches after 1 year at a higher rate than we've ever dumped them before. It is just You've got to go get it, make it happen. And by the way, 19 of the last 21 years, and this year was an exception, right? This is one of the years we didn't. There's been at least one team go from worst to first in the division. 19 of the last 21, I believe, is the number now, after this year when we didn't have it. Every year you get a minimum of 4 or 5 teams that change places in the playoffs. P. Rozelle he wanted this league to be, when he was a commissioner, remember there 14 games then, 7-7, everybody 7-7. He wanted parity. There's a lot of that out there, and you can get right a lot quicker in this league if you do the right things. So I'm with you, Buck. There's just not the same patience for it. There's just not the same appetite. I would say the Giants probably show as much patience as anyone, and they've gone through a string of coaches that were going 2 years. Pat Shurmur was a 2-year. Ben McAdoo was a 2-year. See where I'm going? It's hard. Many thought that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll wouldn't be back this year, especially after the offseason hard knocks. But guess what? They are back. So I know one thing, I wouldn't mind working for the Giants in terms of that. But overall, it's really, really difficult.
They're back, but the offseason hard knocks seems like it's going away because no other team wants to be a part of it.
Offseason hard knocks, you guys know exactly why it's gone.
Yeah.
Because once the man walked in the room twice and said how popular Saquon was, and 2, I don't think I'll be able to sleep real well if he goes to Philadelphia. And then he goes for $2,000 and a Super Bowl. But here's the kicker, though. The teams get to vet everything before it goes out.
Yeah.
I think that was the shocker to everyone, like all that went out. Okay.
Charles Davis of the NFL on CBS. Of course, you can watch him on the NFL Network's draft coverage, and you can hear him on 104.5 The Zone with our great friend, Coach Doug Matthews, on Forklift Systems Football Saturdays.
And, of course, the Giants are actively preaching impatience at the moment, Charles. That is the wording from John Mara, that his patience is running pretty thin going into this offseason, and they have yet to make a move at quarterback. You were one of the only ones, probably the only one I've seen so far.
Only one. No sanity whatsoever.
Well, and you know what? But you're ahead of the...
Why we love you, buddy.
Right, but you're playing chestnut checkers with this stuff because you do not have social media, so you are smarter than the rest of us to stay away from the reaction to this stuff. You did have quarterback taken 1, 2, 3 in your mock draft after the combine with Jackson Dart going 3 overall. And, you know, people might be shocked by that, Charles, but when you look at the way free agency is playing out, and everything trending towards the Titans going quarterback at 1. Adam Schefter has come out and said the thing he is most sure of in this draft is that the Browns will take a QB number 2. The Giants got to be shifted around in their seat a little bit. Maybe it wouldn't be such a shocker if Jackson Dart went all the way up to 3. Certainly stranger things have happened. Was that kind of part of your thought process there?
It was a little bit. The other part is very simply, before, as you mentioned, it went out 6 days ago before the legal tampering, before some of this quarterback movement. But people were already talking about, at 7, could Las Vegas do it, right? Could all these other teams we've talked about in the top 10. I didn't know much of a difference between 3 and 7. And the Giants haven't gotten the quarterback right in ages, okay? They thought they had it with Daniel Jones. They paid him they paid him a king's ransom. That didn't work out real well. At a certain point, what are you going to do? And unless they went out free agent and got one of those guys, and now it certainly appears that one of those guys is not really available for them, unless it's Aaron Rodgers, obviously, what's going to happen? I put it down there much more as fodder for thought. And look, I'm not trying to manipulate things in my mock drafts. Do I want mine to be different than other people's? Absolutely. We all do, right? But I also want to have some plausibility to it. And if people think that a quarterback at 3 isn't plausible, then you haven't been watching this league, okay? You haven't been checking this thing out. Anybody remember when Christian Ponder got moved up?
Yes.
Anybody remember Jake Locker going?
Oh, yeah. Remember that around here.
So anybody wants to have that conversation with me, I can have it with you all day. All right. We've seen people go at improbable spots. Now, the Giants, if they really want to win, if they really live right, the Titans will either accept a deal or the Titans will decide to take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And then you can take Shedeur Sanders at 3. And guess what? It changes everything. It changes your headlines. It changes how people look at you. Because I will say this. One of the biggest Jackson Dart supporters that I know around the league called me when my mock draft came out and said, dude, I love that kid. I think he's going to be dynamic, but I don't know about taking him at 3. And I said, we're in the same conversation. Now you're telling me it's too rich? If you like someone, when is it too rich? Okay? Because who was it? Travis Frederick, the center for Cowboys? Remember that one? When he got picked, everybody lost their mind. He's a 3rd rounder. Guy was an all-pro. When you have conviction, oh, yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs. Was he supposed to go at 12 to Detroit? Nope. How's that working for him? Pretty darn well. So all I'm saying is if you like someone, you got to go get them. You don't care about the number. You just go get that guy. I don't know if Jackson Dart's that guy or not, but it's not improbable that a quarterback's in play for the Giants at 3.
It's certainly less improbable than Michael Penix going 8th to the Falcons last year, or for a lot of people, Bo Nix 12th. I mean, to your point, Charles, that's just what it is. He is the legend, Charles Davis. He's doing it all for NFL.com, for the NFL Network, for the NFL on CBS, and as well as hanging out with Coach Doug Matthews on Saturday mornings. Forklift Systems Football Saturdays is where you can hear him regularly on the Zone. Charles, I know you're busy. It's always good to see you. I tried not to bother you too much at the Combine because every time I saw you, you were being dragged around from one table to the next, but it's always good to catch up with you, my friend. Thank you for doing it.
Listen, you're never a bother. I just appreciate you being nice and saying hi. It's always great to see you and Lucas. Thank you for having me on. And how about Coach Matthews, the Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Tennessee Hall of Fame this year. So happy for him. But it's always great to spend time with you guys. Thanks for being flexible today.
That's the main man,
Thanks, Charles
Davis, with us on
Take care, guys.
104.5 The Zone. Always good to have Charles there with us. And to his point, people get outraged about things that they have no idea how teams think about them. And his mock draft, I think, is as good a testament to that fake outrage every year. Because at least he's willing to take chances on those things other than stick with status quo. Give me something else to talk about other than the same names over and over and over again at the top.
To your point, if somebody mocked on, what's today, March 11th, 2024, Michael Penix, 8th overall to the Falcons,
we would have killed that person.
It would have absolutely been destroyed on social media, wherever. What are you talking about?
Man or woman down. We would have hunted him down.
It would have been right after they paid Kirk Cousins too, the $180 million guy. You idiot. You
don't know anything.
Far, far stranger things have happened.
All right, so let's recap some of the deals that got handed out yesterday. 615-737-1045 is the number. We also have Oh No at the end of the hour, so be thinking, keeping in mind what in sports made you say, oh no. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped so many guys over the past decade plus here in Middle Tennessee because there's plenty of misconceptions out there. If you've dealt with erectile dysfunction, and if you have and you started to take the pills, but the pills stop working, the Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you. They want to make sure that they get you the kind of treatment options that you might not have at other places. For example, if you go to your family doctor and they provide you the options that they have available, those may include something like irreversible surgery. And you don't want to go to those extremes unless you absolutely have to. Do not go to extremes before you've talked to the experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic because they specialize in men's sexual health issues. It's all they do, and it makes them the experts in the field. They have access, like I said, to multiple protocols and options to treat ED based on your specific needs and what's going on in your body. Don't trust your health to an online pharmacy and don't feel like you're out of options. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today because their protocols are patient-centered and customized to your needs. They have treatments for everything from low T, ED, treatments that increase size, stamina, and everything else in between. So schedule an appointment online today at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com for their Franklin or Midtown location or call them 615-208-9090. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, 615-737-1045. I don't know about going back to Cali. In fact, you probably make less money if you took a free agent deal to go to California. But it doesn't mean that the Titans have gone with the, as Lucas described it yesterday, sugar rush approach to NFL free agency. The Dan Moore contract made waves league-wide.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest deal for a tackle.
And I want to, at some point, we can do that today or we can do that later. When do you want to play the Ledyard stuff versus what Ramon Foster said? Because we can do that. It's a deal of consequence. They obviously didn't spend the most money in the NFL to get Dan Moore, who was the best available left tackle after Ronnie Stanley re-signed with the Baltimore Ravens. But a lot of people, like John Ledyard, who does draft scouting, who does specifically film analysis on the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's got a podcast called Yin's Knows Ball that he offers on a weekly basis. And I texted Ledyard with the prompt of, all right, tell me why I shouldn't hate this Dan Moore deal. And he gave a pretty lengthy response that I don't know if we accomplished the objective of making me not hate this Dan Moore deal.
Obviously, I'm pretty low on the deal. Like, a little bit of I would say he was horrible in 2023. Like, after being maybe he was okay before that at best. Like, if they would have had any other option, they should have benched him. They really didn't because Chukwu Okorafor fell out of favor and they didn't want to go back to him. They hated his guts after that. So they really didn't have any other choice. I think he might have been benched. Then he was still under this super cheap contract. So they hoped he would lose his job the next year to Broderick and Fautanu. Broderick played so bad that they actually Moore was in line to start with Fautanu, and then Fautanu got hurt, and it was Jones and Moore. And Moore was actually decent for the first half of the year, and the second half looked more like he did the year before. So I was kind of please bench this guy in 2023. And then 2024, I was actually, I might eat my words a little bit. He's been fine. And then toward the end of the year, it started. He was bad again. He was getting cooked. I mean, this offense protects their line too, for a good amount. They stay out of the straight drop back game, tons of play action. They try to run the ball all the time. It doesn't actually help the passing game, but it does help the offensive lineman, I think. Not have to be on an island all the time, especially a tackle. They max protect a lot. And even then, he still got beat a decent amount. And if he goes one-on-one against top guys, he's just toast. Garrett, Hendrickson have both just wrecked him for years and years. And I mean, Garrett has done just outlandish things to him, even if the sack numbers haven't always been crazy. I've done film reviews on it and just been he just has no chance against top guys one-on-one. Mediocre guys, smaller guys, sure, but he just has no great traits. He's an okay athlete, and he's just not that big or strong. He is. I think he's gotten about as far as technique can take him, but he gets walked back. He gets beat on his edge a lot. His hands get beat a lot. And then just if he has to, straight set more often, if he has to true pass set more often, I think it's going to be really unfortunate for the offense. So he is a really good dude. He works really hard. I think, from that perspective, people are, he's young. Maybe people think he needs to keep getting better. Duke and those guys, all think that his best ball could be ahead of him. And, they say that about every offensive lineman. So I don't know. I like his mental makeup, but he just hasn't. I would have considered him, even at his best last year, maybe an average starter.
All right. So I don't think Ledyard accomplished what I asked him to accomplish, which is make me not hate that deal. That's what a tackle costs, though. And he's the best available free agent tackle. So I'm not mad at Dan Moore for getting paid. Good for Dan Moore for getting paid. I'm mad at the Titans for being in the situation, even as I acknowledge that they are trying to work themselves out of it as best they can. Both things can be so. Solid, not suck. That's the objective. Let's get to solid as opposed to they suck. And Dan Moore, as we've talked about, I think addresses two positions in one because it's a solid left tackle and potentially a plus starter at right tackle now with J.C. Latham getting over to a position where I think Lucas genuinely, they just think he's going to be more comfortable. They just think he's going to be more comfortable playing the position that he played all throughout his college career.
That makes sense.
Even if he's a good enough athlete to play left tackle.
Yeah. And, I've seen some from Titans fans, some revisionist history on the J.C. Latham pick in terms of it not being worth the number 7 pick because you tried him at left tackle, you drafted him to be your franchise left tackle, and now he's not going to play left tackle. But I have not thought about it that way at all. I've thought about it in terms of you drafted a guy at 7th overall that can play left or right tackle for you and gives you the flexibility to do something like this. Is it an overpay? Yes, it is an overpay. When you look at the offensive tackles, some of the guys that make less money now on average annual value than Dan Moore Jr. I think Jordan Mailata now makes less than Dan Moore Jr.
Don't say that. I'm going to hate the deal again.
That's tough. It absolutely is an overpay.
But he's going to get paid. Mailata's going to get paid, right? We all expect him. That Philadelphia is cost-cutting all over the place because Mailata's about to get paid.
Yeah, no, and that will not last long. But if he can just continue to be reliable in terms of his availability, give me a league average tackle that plays in every game over a top 10 offensive tackle that misses 6-7 games a year. Honestly. So that has been the case for him so far in his career. Yep. In 4 years, he's missed 2 games. Knock on wood. So that has to be the case. It has to be the case for this to be considered any modicum of a success of a signing is he has to continue down that thread of being a reliably available player at left tackle.
Here's the thing. The sack totals are the thing that I think most fans get caught up in, and we can take your phone calls on this here in just a second. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, the way that they play, it invites more sacks. So while Dan Moore, has 12 sacks, I think he's credited with, depending on where you look, 12 or 13. I watched about half of them last night. You can clearly tell where the quarterback play is also influencing his ability to hold up in pass protection.
So Mailata, his average annual value is 22. So it's just above the 20.5 of Dan Moore Jr. But Dan Moore Jr.'s contract, $82 million in total money, is bigger than Mailata's of 3 years and $66 million.
John is in Cane Ridge up next.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to make a comment about, Buck, what you said just a few minutes ago about, he was the best available. Well, I've been in management for 40-plus years and now retired, and one thing I learned when I'm in recruiting somebody and I've got 4 slugs out there, I don't go and hire the best of the 4 slugs. I say, okay, let's put some more feelers out there and find somebody that meets my needs or get better to our needs. So I think this could come into the no that you're going to have after this. But, I'm saying no on this guy because you don't take what's out there if it's the best available and it doesn't fit our scheme. Thanks, bud.
Thanks for the call, John. I appreciate it. Well, that's as good a transition as any to get to Oh No, presented by Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. 615-737-1045 is the number. What in sports made you say oh no for the opportunity to win a $100 gift card from A Moment's Peace?
What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? Sometimes you just got to get it off your chest.
That's the wrong
dumber
segment.
than a second coat of paint.
That's
you
tomorrow.
are dumb. You are really dumb.
Tomorrow.
That's why.
Good acapella.
I don't know why the cart didn't fire, but you do not have your own music for today.
Can you do that one acapella?
You got to simply get it off your chest.
Wrong one. What in sports made you say, oh no, other than our level of production? Some things change, but some things
Oh no!
stay the same.
Oh no! Oh yeah!
Okay.
There we go. I could have done that one.
We got there. We have Laney Wilson tickets to give away, along with a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. If you call in 615-737-1045 and tell us what in sports made you say, oh no. I don't know how much the two of you are watching Virginia high school track,
All the time.
but it landed on my algorithm this week because a sprinter is looking for an apology after she was whacked in the head with a baton by a fellow competitor during a recent meet, leaving her with a concussion and a possible skull fracture. It's one of the craziest stories I've ever seen. The VHSL Class 3 State Indoor Championship last week at Liberty University, the 4x200 relay race. Brookville High School junior Kaylin Tucker rounded the corner with senior Alila Everett of IC Norcom High School. The two seemingly bumped arms before Everett swung her baton at the back of Tucker's head. And now Everett is claiming to be the victim after she hit a girl in the head with a baton.
So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle. A couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. They're assuming my character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
Of course, I'm against death threats and racial slurs. That is obviously horrendous. But she for sure hit that girl in the back of the head on purpose.
Well, when I first heard it this morning, I thought, she sounds pretty emotionally damaged by this. Let me hear her out. Let me go back and watch the video with that. Oh, my God, she's clubbing her in the back of the head. There is no way any of this was accidental. The chat is saying that she should have just said there was a mosquito on the girl's head or something.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that. You got to fly. You got to fly in the back of your head. So again, I do not condone the messages that she is probably getting of hate on social media. I also do not condone her hitting a girl in the back of the head with a baton.
Hard to spin that.
Both things can be so.
Oh, what made me say oh no in sports this week? Arkansas head basketball coach John Calipari, who in this audio with, I think, an in-house media member, Hogs TV, it looks like. Hogs Plus, I should say.
I was hoping that was his name, the media member. Hogs TV here interviewing.
Hogs TV here.
Apple Plus, Google Plus, Hogs
Plus. I think Coach Cal thinks he is still the coach at Kentucky during this audio.
I don't care about the conference tournament, which is why we won it so many times, because I could care less. The tournament that matters is the NCAA tournament. Now, you play that tournament to get the best seed you can get. And if you're going to get to the finals, win. Or don't go to the finals and lose because you're exhausted and you got to play on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'm like, let's play well and try to improve our seed.
I always enjoy Coach Cal on a mic, I got to say. But, Coach Cal, you're not the coach at Kentucky anymore. I get what he's saying in principle, but to act like Arkansas's place in the NCAA tournament is so solidified that they can afford to not care about the SEC tournament, to me, sounds a little misguided. They are the 9 seed. They play 16 seed South Carolina. They'll be favored. South Carolina, terrible. That game tomorrow at noon. We'll be there in the concourse at Bridgestone. Can't wait. Winner plays Ole Miss in the second round. But Arkansas is a perfect example of one of these teams that has to put together a couple of wins to solidify their place in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know about the message that sends to his players saying, well, don't care about the conference tournament.
All right, Bert, quickly.
So my day yesterday was supposed to be the second best day of the year, followed only by the NFL draft. And when my girlfriend got home, it wasn't, how was your day? What did you do today? Did you have fun at work? It was, where did Braxton Berrios sign? Where is Alex Earl going to be? It even made a mention by Adam Schefter on ESPN.
Yes.
Braxton Berrios, the former Dolphins wide receiver. I know my daughter cares a tremendous amount of this. Is signing with the Houston Texans 1 year, $2 million deal. Texans get crafty wide receiver. They're looking for some wide receiver help.
Crafty wide receiver help. Oh, is it because he's sneaky fast? He's a lunch pail guy. He's a first in, first out. Braxton Berrios, it does not matter what you do. It is inconsequential to anyone outside of the female persuasion. He is a non-factor at wide receiver, a non-factor in my life until Cheyenne comes home. Well, who are the Texans? Are they good? Do we like them? No, we don't like them. We hate them. I don't care what you think about Houston. So my own no goes to Cheyenne and aside to Braxton Berrios.
The only reason he is still relevant is because his girlfriend is fiance or girlfriend.
I think it's girlfriend.
I think girlfriend.
I don't think it matters.
11 million. She has 11 million followers across social media.
He's quicker than fast.
Quicker than fast. That's what they say. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want the opportunity to win some Lainey Wilson tickets and also a $100 gift card from a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Just tell us what in sports made you say, oh no. Let's start with Philip.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Good.
I'm going to tell you something. You're playing on national TV on a major network, and you elbow a guy not once, but twice in the back of the head in the Auburn-Alabama game, knowing that it's a flagrant 2. I mean, what's going on, dude? Come on, man.
Yeah, no, it's a good submission. Thank you for it, Philip.
Chad Baker-Mazara of Auburn has been ejected now in multiple games this year. This was egregious, and it led to Auburn's loss at home to Alabama on Saturday.
Cody is next.
Hey, guys. This is kind of a funny, oh no, it made me chuckle. I was listening to the Vols broadcast on Saturday, and I can't remember, for the life of me, I should slap myself, but I can't think of the color commentator's name.
Burt Bertelkamp?
What is his name?
Burt Bertelkamp?
Burt made the comment, somebody had just hit a good three-pointer, and he said he was stroking it really good, and you can always count on him to come in for the money shot. And it made me laugh. And I just went, oh, man.
Thank you for this.
Doing Burt dirty there.
Cody, no, but it's a leader in the clubhouse.
He's hanging it up. They honored him at halftime.
You got to know.
It's about time another Burt finally slandered the name. I'm tired of it just being me.
It's also you're the only one with a microphone in front of his face regularly making stroking jokes and money shot jokes.
There's still Kreischer.
Money.
Chris is next.
Hey, my own no goes to Angel Reese. I saw where she was in an interview, and she told the guy that she models her game after Michael Jordan, and I don't really think she's got any MJ in her, but she might have been looking at Dennis Rodman.
Yeah,
but I thought that was a little ridiculous.
I don't think that's a fair comparison for Angel Reese, but I appreciate the confidence. Maybe her kill everybody mentality is what she meant. Cody is next.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What you got?
All right, so last week, when I get ready in the morning, I have a 6-month-old daughter. She sits in her little chair, and we watch RKW in the morning. And I'm in the other room getting ready, and she starts screaming and crying. I come running in there to see what's going on, and I caught my foot on a comforter, busted my head on the dresser.
Oh, no.
And literally the first thing I said was, oh, no. I looked at my head, looked at my hand with blood dripping all down. I was worried, I'm there with her alone, that I was going to, possibly go unconscious. So I called my wife and get her over there real quick. Very next day, wound up going to the ER, got 8 stitches in my head, big old black eye. The next day, my daughter face plants into the floor, so we said, oh, no.
What is going on?
Matching black eyes.
You got a lot of tripping hazards around the house. Thank you for the call, Cody. So it's the 2 Codys for the leader in the clubhouse.
Hope everybody's okay in the Cody house.
Will be the last submission.
Hey, what's up, y'all? The guy's name, the general manager for the Vikings, letting pretty much the most coveted free agent quarterback just walk for nothing. Old Derrick Henry situation. He'll be the first one gone this year.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah.
Really? Because of Sam Darnold. Interesting.
It's a bold opinion. It is a risky play. J.J. McCarthy Better be pretty good.
Pick between the Codys,
Excuse
please. Pick between the Codys.
I was a big fan of Cody, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cody in Fairview or Cody in Bellmead?
Kind of partial to Cody here.
I think Cody was better, though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. One of them, you had
we don't have enough time for this bit, you idiots.
I got to go Cody with a crackhead in Bellevue.
All right, Cody with the cracked head in Bellevue. You may have brain trauma, but at least you'll go see Lainey Wilson and get a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace salon and day spa. Cody in Bellmead, that is, specifically. All right, coming up next, we will get into the free agent quarterback movement. It is an interesting deal that the Seahawks gave out yesterday, and there's been some other moves. We'll talk about them next.
It is 11:03. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Legal tampering got underway on Monday. One big splash from the Titans, signing former Steelers left tackle Dan Moore Jr. to a 4-year, $82 million deal with $50 million guaranteed. The deals are not flying today as much as they were yesterday, although there has been more quarterback movement as Daniel Jones comes to the AFC South, signing a 1-year, $14 million deal with the Indianapolis Colts. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
All right, let's keep it moving here on this Tuesday. Thanks for jumping in, hanging out. We appreciate your participation. Not a lot of participation on the open market today. I've seen some punter deals get done. We got a long snapper deal getting done. But you do have some quarterback movement that we have not yet had the opportunity to address on the radio show. Sam Darnold is now the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, which is a curious situation, because I'm not really sure what Seattle is trying to get accomplished here by putting Sam Darnold on their roster and trading Geno Smith. But that is of note for Titans fans. Daniel Jones, coming off the free agent market, going to be, I don't know, how many games do you think Daniel Jones starts for Anthony Richardson this year?
Multiple.
All right, what's multiple?
How many did Flacco start last year?
He was in and out of the lineup. I think it ended up being like 5 or 6 starts that Flacco got. I'm sure he played in more games, but it was at least, I want to say it was at least 5 starts.
I did see Ian Hartitz of Fantasy Life, which I believe is the outlet that Nicholas Petit-Frere is doing work for, if he is still doing.
Fantastic follow, by the way.
Hartitz?
Nicholas Petit-Frere or Ian Hartitz?
Ian.
Yes.
He is. Lucas hates him because we used to have him on the radio show, and at some point Lucas got annoyed by him and unfollowed him on Twitter.
I don't recall that.
Say it's not. Well, we're looking at your Twitter right now. Do you follow him?
I don't follow him.
So someone's lying.
I don't know if I ever did.
Before you returned to us on this radio show, for reasons that I'm still trying to figure out, we determined that we would just scream lie into the microphone whenever somebody is lying.
No.
Lie.
Cap.
No.
Cap is the word the kids are using.
We're not doing that.
Ian Hartitz.
You're almost 30 now. Welcome to the club. Bert.
No, I'm not.
It's crazy that Bert's the oldest one on the show because he is by far the most immature of the three of us.
Debatable.
Is it debatable? Is it really?
Hartitz tweeted an hour ago, lowest passer rating in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. That's your QB room in Indianapolis. Although I don't hate the move for the Colts.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, it fits the skill set that Anthony Richardson has, that Shane Steichen has proven he can win with when he was the offensive coordinator in Philly with Jalen Hurts. Daniel Jones fits that quarterback skill set certainly more than Joe Flacco did. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I'm going to say, let's see, where do we set the over-under? 5.5?
I'm going to say 5.5 is a good over-under.
I'm going over.
I'm going to go over, too. I think Anthony Richardson is cheeks.
I agree.
So we will see what happens with the Indianapolis Colts situation.
You can't tell someone to stop saying cap and then say Anthony Richardson's cheeks. Like, you can't. Cheeks is also a young kid thing.
Yeah. Cheeks is millennial.
Cheeks is not millennial. Cheeks
absolutely is. I've been saying cheeks since Malcolm Butler was on this roster.
That's cap.
Yeah.
Which one sounds worse? You tell me.
I think cheeks.
615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate. The F&M Bank chat also available at your disposal. So, Seattle and Sam Darnold. His offensive line situation is worse there than it was in Minnesota. Seattle is one of the worst offensive lines in the sport last year. In fact, it regularly undermined Geno Smith and probably got Ryan Grubb fired. Ryan Grubb also contributed to his firing because they were not as good an offense as they should have been. But the offensive line situation in Seattle is bad. Sam Darnold needs a better offensive line situation. He didn't have the best one in Minnesota, but it was better than what he is currently going to play behind. And now he's more expensive. I don't like that deal.
And they've also, almost emptied out that wide receiver room. Who's left other than Jackson Smith and Jigba, who took a really nice step last year?
Yeah, because DK is now a Steeler.
And they acquired draft picks. They've got draft capital. But it's hard to say, and I like Sam Darnold. Like, I was a proponent of bringing Sam. The deal that he got, what is that? $110.5 million over 3 years, $55 million guaranteed, just over $36 million. I would have gladly accepted a hair over $36 million a year in Tennessee for Sam Darnold. But
gladly, you say?
Yeah, but
I would not have been glad about it.
It's hard to say that that's an upgrade over Geno Smith.
It's not.
Yeah,
Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold is.
I agree.
Maybe it's closer in some areas than that makes it seem, but I think pretty definitively, would all three of us agree that Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold is?
No. I would not agree.
Based on
the amount of time they played and their ages. I think Sam Darnold has not yet reached his ceiling. I would say Geno Smith is a finished player. He's much older.
That's true.
Sam Darnold has time to grow into his role.
I'll hear that out.
They got younger and cheaper at the position. There's no doubt about that.
From what we have seen of them across their careers, Geno Smith has been the better player. But again, that's also for a smaller amount. If you want to cite Sam Darnold's lack of sample size of high-level play, Geno Smith doesn't have a huge resume of high-level play. That's happened basically in the last 3 years.
So what has more potential to be disastrous? Sam Darnold in Seattle or Justin Fields in the New York Jets?
Everything about my body wants to say the Jets because they are the Jets.
2 years, $40 million, $30 million guaranteed. And I am assuming he is the day one starter.
Yes.
With the New York Jets. Tyrod Taylor is the other quarterback option there.
Justin Fields is going there for $20 million a year, which I'm fine with. But because it's the Jets, it makes me think that something like the potential for worse things to happen is going to happen to Justin Fields because it's the Jets. I don't think that's a fair way to do it because they have changed their general manager and they have changed their coach. Their ownership has obviously not changed, and that is the most unreliable or most... It's the worst part of their organization is the person who owns it and who can impact the most amount of things on a whim. It's also New York. So if it doesn't go to plan, it's going to feel worse than if Sam Darnold plays worse than Justin Fields does, right? Because New York will be louder than the Seattle market about it.
He's just going to swap with Aaron Rodgers if Rodgers ends up in Pittsburgh?
I guess. And then people are treating that like a done deal.
They are on each other's schedule. The Steelers play the Jets this year. If Aaron Rodgers ends up a Pittsburgh Steeler,
it's going to be the most Jets thing ever if he's good.
Well, there's your week one, take your pick, Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. I believe they're at MetLife Stadium, too. Steelers at Jets, week one, Monday Night Football. Go ahead and book it now. If Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
What kind of flag's he bringing out? Is it still an American flag? Is it
for the Steelers?
Is it a Steelers flag?
No, it's the terrible towel.
Oh, as a flag?
Yeah.
That's a big-ass flag.
Yeah.
Towel.
It can't be worse than the week one appearance for him with the Jets. That is the most Jets thing of my lifetime. And there have been a million things that would be on the leaderboard, the medal stand for worst Jets moments of all time. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in if you would like to participate. Let's go with Anthony up next.
Man, I swear, I think y'all are around my age. I'm 32, and I'm freaking laughing at the conversation y'all are having.
It's because we're dumb.
And now I basically wanted to talk about what y'all been talking about. Like, I almost want y'all to make a segment where y'all give y'all's top 3 GMs and top 3 worst GMs, and let's talk about that. But anyways, I guess I think the Jets might be okay. Maybe they'll be carried by Justin Fields reuniting with Garrett Wilson. Shout out LT alumni. And I think for the Titans, the only 2 options I see us doing is either Cam Ward and draft defense, or let Will Levis ride and we sign Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. So that's my thought. Appreciate y'all. Keep up the laughs.
Thanks for the call, Anthony. Yeah, it seems like the Titans are trending towards drafting a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. Nothing definitive. If they get a good enough offer, I still think they move it.
Mac Jones is really the only quarterback left available that we would think they'd consider here, right? Zach Wilson is a Miami Dolphin. He'll back up Tua 1 year, $6 million.
And I don't know, let me say this on the front end. I don't know, if they were hell-bent on getting Zach Wilson in the building. I don't think it was anything like, all right, it's Zach Wilson or Mac Jones or bust, right? But they are considering options, a variety of different options of the position, and Zach Wilson was a potential option. And he goes to Miami, where I'm sure they're going to have to keep the moms away from him. Mac Jones, I am pro because it would also lead to drafting a number 1 overall pick at quarterback, I believe. Now, my preference is still to trade out, but I don't think they're going to get that offer. It seems like we are trending in the direction of them not getting a sufficient enough offer for the number 1 overall pick. So if that's not going to be the case, I'm pro quarterback, Mac Jones, Cam Ward, 2025.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I did a little research to bring some levity to the conversation. It's something that I feel like needed to be said before we got out of here. I did some research on the phrase cheeks and when its definition changed. So in 2012 was
definition changed.
So 2012 meant to fraternize with the other sex. Like, oh, I'm going to get some cheeks. That's what cheeks used to mean. But in 2018, the definition was updated to what we use it as now as, oh, this is booty. This is bad. This is cheeks.
Correct.
So 2018, that's not our language.
That's the...
We were adults by then.
Yeah,
we were fully moved out of that being... You can't say that's our thing.
No,
that's not our
that's
thing.
our thing.
That's a youngin' thing.
The Gen Zers got their hands on it and turned that word into what it is now.
Got their hands on the cheeks?
Yes, you can't argue with Urban Dictionary historians.
Yeah.
So
I still think it sounds better.
Come on. Kids are saying that, right? We've got headlines. We've got a lot of headlines.
Go to break before I strangle him.
Let's get an update on NFL contracts and free agency with one Lucas Panzica.
Oh, the wavy voice at the end is so good.
I think they call that vibrato.
That's so good.
There's no way you knew that before you tried it.
This just dropped. Former Titans corner Christian Fulton has a new home, agreeing to terms with the Kansas City Chiefs. A 2-year, $20 million contract that includes $15 million fully guaranteed.
He's going to win a Super Bowl, isn't he?
Probably. 2 years in Kansas City, your odds are pretty good.
It's like going to Alabama during the Nick Saban window.
Yep.
You're almost guaranteed to be a national champion at some point in your college career.
I'm sure his dad will be very fun to deal with if that happens.
Oh, on Twitter?
Yes, in person. And on Twitter, I don't think it would matter.
Mr. Keith listens to the radio show still on a daily basis.
Glad to have you. Don't come beat me up.
He's a very nice man.
So he will play opposite Trent McDuffie, I suppose.
He wasn't bad last year in Los Angeles. He was on a good defense, and there were some moments where he got bullied. Like Titans fans were very quick to note, who did they play in the playoffs? The Chargers.
The Texans. They were, punked by the Texans.
I can't remember if it was Joe Mixon that bulldozed by Christian Fulton or one of the receivers that just lowered his shoulder to cross the goal line. But Fulton, these things happen, right? And Titans fans, I don't know why Titans fans had such a bad. Well, I do because the hamstring stuff kept happening, and also if you want to talk about players that Mike Vrabel handled poorly, I thought the way that Christian Fulton was treated here by that coaching staff, and specifically by the head coach at the end, was unacceptable. Like, I think that was really, really wrong. And that's really the only example of something like. Actually,
what do you mean?
Do you remember when Christian Fulton didn't know that they were putting him on injured reserve and he found out from us in the locker room?
Yes, during the media scrum.
That's trash. I could not have less respect for the way that was handled.
David
Long was also somebody who I thought got an unfair.
And those things went
Vrabel.
two different ways post-Titans, right? Both of those guys were included in the repeat offenders comment from Vrabel in a press conference with the soft tissue stuff. David Long went to Miami, and the soft tissue stuff followed. Christian Fulton went to L.A. and had the healthiest season he's had in the NFL. Missed 2 games, including the Titans game. Was one of the 2 games he missed last year.
Ended up on the Titans practice squad last year, David Long, until he couldn't pass a physical.
Yeah, exactly. So that followed him. It didn't necessarily follow Christian Fulton, who gets rewarded with a $20 million deal.
So good for Christian Fulton. Listen, the Chiefs dealing L'Jarius Sneed had some level of impact on them last year because the way that Trent McDuffie got bullied by A.J. Brown, and listen, there's nothing to say that L'Jarius Sneed, who is a bigger corner, wouldn't have still gotten got by one of the best wide receivers in the sport in A.J. Brown. But, they stood no chance against A.J. in the Super Bowl. And that was clear and obvious based on the disparity between the corners that they had last year to go up against the Philadelphia Eagles skill players.
This also just dropped from Tom Pelissero. We know that Daniel Jones will be an Indianapolis Colt. Tom Pelissero reporting that the Colts are preparing for an open quarterback competition between Jones and Richardson. No starting job is being handed to either. There is no idea that Anthony Richardson comes into 2025 as the incumbent starter. And Anthony Richardson's agent tells Tom Pelissero, quote, AR will be ready to roll. Open competition. Those are rare. We don't get those very often in the NFL, like an actual quarterback competition for the starting job.
Buddy, we got one here.
When?
Whenever they bring in actual competition to push Levis.
So you're under the assumption, so you're telling me if the Titans draft Cam Ward, that you think that's an actual competition between Will Levis
I'm talking about
and Cam Ward?
The player that they sign in free agency at the quarterback position to compete with Will Levis.
Okay. If they do that,
I would like for them to sit Cam Ward. I don't know if they'll do it. If they draft him. Obviously, we're going down a couple of different hypotheticals here. The Titans would have to draft a quarterback number 1 overall. They would have to sign a veteran free agent, and they would have to still have Will Levis on the roster come training camp to be competed with.
It's hard for me to envision an actual competition involving Will Levis for the starting quarterback job. That's what they're going to say. It's what they have said, but it hardly ever happens that way.
If I would like to hear that from them, because that would mean that they're going to give Cam Ward some time if they draft Cam Ward. Again, I understand that there's a lot of ifs that come along with this scenario, but yeah, to your point, we don't often get true and honest open competitions for starting NFL quarterback jobs. And the Colts are in a bad spot because Anthony Richardson hasn't gone to plan. And, they're clearly hedging their bets with one of these reclamation project quarterbacks or potential reclamation project quarterbacks in Daniel Jones. Because I think Shane Steichen's a good coach. Them going 8-9 last year with the level of quarterback play that Richardson provided and benching him multiple times, they are a good enough football team to compete if they can stabilize at the quarterback position. They did it much better than the Titans did last year.
When I hear Will Levis is going to compete, I'm like, yeah, all right. That Will Levis, to me, Will Levis ain't going to start. To me, it sounds more like the Gardner Minshew, Trevor Lawrence thing.
Traded away from this place, I'm going to assume that he is still a part of this.
Oh, sure. He can be a part of it.
Even as I don't want anything to do with that. And I know you don't. Yeah. Because you hate him.
Don't hate him. He's a nice guy. So a few deals came down this morning, including the Texans continuing their offensive line overhaul. They, after trading away Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, let's start there.
That was yesterday.
That's the way bigger deal here.
Yeah, I mean, it is. This morning they traded away Kenyon Green to Philadelphia in exchange for C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
It's worth mentioning Kenyon Green was a former first-round pick.
Yeah, out of Texas A&M.
Terrible for them.
So yesterday they traded Laramie Tunsil and a fourth-round pick to the Washington Commanders in exchange for a second, third, and fourth. And then they traded away Kenyon Green today to the Eagles in exchange for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Did that come with draft capital? No, I think that's a straight. Yes, the Eagles also receive a 2026 fifth, and the Texans got a 2026 sixth.
And they have just added Laken Tomlinson on a one-year deal. Who's getting paid? For $4.25 million.
Is he? I mean, is that good? That's not getting paid. That's just.
He got some.
I would like $4.5 million.
Asking who's getting paid, not how much are they getting paid.
Yeah. 33 years old, Laken Tomlinson.
Miles Sanders being released by the Panthers, also being reported right now. So Houston is an interesting thing because what was the problem last year? Bobby Slowick got fired, their offensive coordinator. They also fired their offensive line coach.
Offensive line took a huge step back.
So they're saying that it's not just a coaching problem; it's a personnel problem as well. I'm having a hard time figuring out what the Texans are trying to do.
The Tunsil thing is slightly confusing. He is 30 years old. He will turn 31. He'll be 31 when the season starts.
Yeah, but how many picks did they get back for Laramie? They basically got what is the equivalent of a first-round pick back for him.
Yeah, I mean,
you put that compensation together.
They got a second, a third, and a fourth. They also sent a fourth with him.
That's still really good for a 31-year-old player.
They netted a second and a third, essentially.
I think that as you look at the Titans, or as you look at the Texans and the way that the Titans are also trying to figure out their offensive line situation, who's done a better job overhauling their offensive line? Houston, Chicago, or Tennessee? Because I'm looking at Chicago and thinking, I mean, they came in immediately and swapped out basically everything that they had.
Yeah, they've had more of an overhaul, and we haven't really seen the corresponding moves. That's what makes this Texans move, the trade of Tunsil, a bit of a head-scratcher, because he was not a problem for them. Kenyon Green apparently had a terrible season. I'm not going to act like I was breaking down Texans O-line tape, but everybody who covers the Texans said he was awful last year.
I mean, I watched him twice. He was awful.
Laramie Tunsil, I don't know if that's just trying to get out and remember the John Robinson trade of Jarrell Casey just getting out at the right time.
Well, yeah, but Jarrell went for a seventh and his body was
sure, but
apart.
Just in terms of the principle of, because that wasn't a trade Titans fans loved.
No.
And then his career, just the production fell off a cliff, the health, everything.
He played 2 games for the Broncos.
Yeah, the Titans got out at the perfect time. Is that what this is for the Texans? Who, it's not like he's 30. He'll be 31 this season.
Yeah, but I get the idea of selling high on a player.
Sure,
as opposed to
who's going to play left tackle for you this season?
That also is the question that I'm asking about the Steelers. Like, I'm very confused by Pittsburgh, especially based off that Ledyard analysis that we played early in the show on Dan Moore.
Well, they have draft picks there.
Yeah, but they're not good. They got beaten out by a guy who was basically an emergency option at tackle last year. And he was all right. He was solid. He had ebbs and flows and solid, and a 26-year-old free agent gets you $20.5 million a year.
But famously, Mike Tomlin, a quote from him is that he is not scared of coaching. It's like, if you see all these guys that are bad at things, like that means you're scared of coaching them. So he's not going to ship a guy off for being bad his first 2 years, being a young offensive lineman. Mike Tomlin's going to try to coach those guys up. And he has a history of getting guys along, having them play in a better situation than they previously were, right?
That's interesting because, I mean, how quickly has the coaching staff here been to point at personnel?
Now, the Texans, I don't have an excuse for them.
I'm talking about the Titans. I'm just that's an interesting conversation for another day about being scared to coach, and the coaching staff here, specifically the head coach here, offering more criticisms publicly than you've heard of right tackles or quarterbacks. I think in a lot of situations, but again, that's a later conversation to have.
The Minnesota Vikings have been making moves in the trenches. The most recent. They have signed former Commanders Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen for 3 years, $60 million. Allen requested a trade from Washington. He's 30 years old, former Alabama star. He requested a trade, and a few days after that, they released him. Now 3 years, $60 million in Washington. They also brought in Javon Hargrave, and they signed guard Will Freese, the former Colts guard, for 5 years, $88 million. $17.6 million per year average. It makes him the sixth highest paid right guard in the NFL.
I wanted his last name so badly to be Fries.
Yeah, it is not Fries. We had to inform you of that this morning.
It's disappointing. So they wanted Jeffrey Simmons last year in Minnesota, and the Titans told them and anybody else who might have inquired. Minnesota was the team that I heard had the most active interest in acquiring Jeff.
Joint practices were the year before that, right?
Yeah, when Traylon Burks got hurt. And Levis also got hurt. That was his rookie joint practice. So Brian Flores, they've been trying to address the middle of their defense. Javon Hargrave and, I'm blanking on the Washington commander.
Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen, thank you. Those two players together at different stages of their career, they're probably on the decline, and Jonathan Allen's coming off a career worst year, but they are impactful players, especially in a Brian Flores system. They've been looking for interior defensive line upgrades for a while now, and it sounds like they're going to get it that way, and they solidify their offensive line with, I thought he was the best available guard in Will Freese. I would have been good with that on my Titans free agency wish list.
Really?
More than Dan Moore.
You were pretty against paying Trey Smith top of market money. That's pretty close to top of market, what they're paying Will Freese.
Sure.
So why were you against paying Trey Smith but not Will Freese?
Wasn't necessarily against paying Trey Smith.
I know it wasn't about Trey Smith, but more of the principle of paying top of market money for a guard.
Position. Well, he's better at what he does. Trey Smith and Will Freese are better at what they do than Dan Moore is at what he does. Now, I know that you could argue that a tackle is more important than a guard, but there's a reason that, what's the highest paid interior defensive line contract, right? What did Milton Williams just get from Mike Vrabel yesterday? $26 million a year?
4 years, $100 million. That's the total money.
Once interior guys start to get paid that money, the guards matter just as much from keeping that interior of the pocket from caving in. In fact, you could argue that the path to the quarterback is longer to go from the edge around the tackles or try to beat the tackle as opposed to just getting through the interior of the offensive line. So I get what you're saying, but if you'd ask, don't make it about Trey Smith and Will Freese. Let's make it about Dan Moore and Will Freese.
Sure. Again, Vikings, there's a lot of pressure here to be right about J.J. McCarthy. They're beefing up everything around him, and now you got to play the guy who's never played a snap, coming off an injury in his rookie year after shipping away the guy who just won you 14 games. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out. This is interesting. The Chargers are expected to sign running back Najee Harris to a one-year deal worth up to $9.25 million.
Gross.
I disagree. I think Najee Harris is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL.
Oh, dude.
J.K. Dobbins is a free agent. Do you know how many games Najee Harris has missed in his NFL career?
Has he missed any?
0. 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. And he lands in a place where I very much disagree with that. And he lands in a place
Robert, am I wrong about Najee Harris?
Yes.
Jalen Warren is the better running back.
Sure, that doesn't mean Jalen Moore is the more explosive running back.
He's the better running back.
Sure. I disagree.
It depends. I don't think
you can't disagree about that. That's factually accurate.
That Jalen Warren is a better running back than Najee Harris?
Yes.
In what world?
I think situationally,
what are we talking about?
If you're lining them up, they're just both different running backs. Both of them do different things. Jalen Warren also had injury issues last year and wasn't able to play.
He's less available. He has less of a workload. Like maybe his yards per carry is better, and he's got a different skill set.
He's a better running back.
That's insane to me to say Jaylen Warren is a better.
I don't think
especially
it's
for a bell cow running back, which Najee Harris is almost the definition of. And who utilizes that better than Jim Harbaugh and the LA Chargers? Like what they have done at the running back position, it's a perfect fit to me. I think that's an insane statement to say Jaylen Warren is a better player than Najee Harris.
It was my least favorite contract of the day.
At no point has he been. Plus, it's not like it's breaking the bank. I mean,
who was your favorite contract?
My favorite contract of the day?
Jaylen Warren?
No, I'm saying Najee Harris was my least favorite contract of the day.
Well, it was an issue for the Chargers last year, health at the running back room. J.K. Dobbins got hurt at the end of the year, was able to come back for the playoffs. Gus Edwards also only playing in 11 games, starting 6 for him. So having somebody that could come in and start all the games and not having to worry about, who's going to do this, who's going to play what role, it is a big boost for them. And also, they're not paying him anything. This is chicken scratch.
Lucas likes to cite when the chat is telling me how wrong I am. They're basically all telling you how wrong you are.
Well,
how many 1,000-yard rushes?
It's very split. Let's see.
It's not very split.
JD3 says Warren is way better. Landon says Najee has zero vision. C. Stooks says Buck has such a bad take. TK says Buck doesn't know ball. Typical Mead says Buck needs to play more Madden.
Oh, that's fun that you're skipping the one that says voice of the Titans currently exposing himself as a casual.
I don't see a voice of the Titans in here. Do you?
What a dumb excuse, by the way, a casual. Shut up. Anyone that says that is dumb.
Benjamin says
literally has an entire portion of the population.
About college football, sure, but just saying someone's casual because they don't share an opinion with you is stupid.
Isaac says Najee Harris has been on the parlay banned list all season. Rookie says Najee Harris couldn't even get 25 yards when I bet on him. It sounds like a lot of people just upset that he.
It's probably got something to do with daily fantasy and.
Frank says Buck, bad take. Puka says Buck being clown.
They're doing that because you're reading all of them.
Well, it's a good strategy. 1 year up to $9.25 million. Like, come
get
on.
another one in the draft.
You just help
get
J.K.
another
Dobbins
one in the draft
to a career high year.
Get another one in the draft.
Please.
$9 million for a running back
will.
that's middling is stupid.
I bet you they still will get another one.
They could have gotten 2.
Okay, so
$9 million is nonsense.
What happens if you draft a rookie in the draft and they're not good at pass pro? That's something Najee Harris is really good at that stats are not going to show. What happens if you bring a guy in and it's like, okay, you've got Kamani Vidal, who's a sub 5'10" running back.
Are you going to pay him $9 million to teach somebody else how to pass protect?
$9 million. That is how much he is making. That's not his cap hit. That's not his actual figure.
Whatever the money is, are you going to pay that?
Sure.
For pass protection?
If I have as much money as they do, then yes.
And they have how much? They had the 4th most coming in?
So they have a buttload of money, and Justin Herbert, who's have shoulder injuries, elbow injuries. If I can shore that up and add and take one thing less off my plate that I have to worry about Justin Herbert getting hurt, then sure. It's a 1-year deal. It's not like they're tied to this dude forever.
Yeah, it is another reminder Derrick Henry is underpaid.
Yeah, perpetually. 615-737-1045. What's Aaron Rodgers going to get paid, and by whom? There's a lot of rumors circling around. We'll find out next. All right, we're going to get to the Aaron Rodgers rumor mill here in just a second. Why do you care? Well, the Titans aren't going to sign him, but it has the potential to have continued domino effects on the quarterback situation here. We'll get to your phone calls first. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you'd like to jump in, how about Dustin in Laverne up next?
Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm just trying to be patient with this whole process, but, every day the Titans, I feel like, are driving me a little further into the ground as a sports fan. But I think that the thing that probably is bothering me the most right now is that it seems like Vrabel's making some pretty good signings up there in New England. And I even mentioned the Josh Dobbs thing to one of my friends. I know he's not your answer, but I've been hearing, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones, and I just don't understand why we're going to spend money to bring in a quarterback that's not even, in my eyes, much better than Will Levis is. So, and then I'm frustrated that we didn't go try to make a run at Sweat or Milton just to help out, Jeff Simmons and everybody in the middle. So maybe y'all can get me some clarity going. I get you don't want to show your hands too much before the draft, but at a certain point, if you need stuff, you need to go get it. And you already have the number 1 pick, so who cares? But just wanted to see what you guys thought about that and get an opportunity to vent for a minute. So thank you all.
What are you doing back there? That's not the Oscars music.
Everybody heard.
The instrumental version.
You're going to make fun of him because his former coach is signing a bunch of players?
Sometimes.
Also, Josh Dobbs, just an extra knife in the side.
Oh,
yesterday.
man. Not great for Joe Milton. A couple of VFLs there behind Drake May.
Who would you rather have, Joe Milton or Hendon Hooker? Because I think Joe Milton.
I mean, Milton's done more in an NFL regular season game. There's no question about that. Yeah, Josh Sweat, we didn't even mention, to Arizona. 4 years, $76.4 million, $41 million guaranteed.
I like that deal by Monty Austin-Ford, Titans legend.
Making more money than Harold Landry.
Well, he's better more recently than Harold is.
Mm-hmm. But like we talked about the other day.
He's a part-time player.
Yeah.
As is Milton Williams, which is crazy that they gave him $26 a year. Like, I get, it also takes, any Jeff Simmons Patriots rumors off the table because they're addressing their interior offensive line. They traded Godchaw to the Saints, if I'm not mistaken, before they signed that Milton Williams deal. And they still have Christian Barmore, who's dealing with blood clots, which is a scary situation. Is he a former first-round pick out of Alabama? I want to say he was.
I believe he was a second-round pick.
Second-round pick? So on the front of
second-round pick.
All right, so he's doing it based off look at how much fun the Patriots are having versus what the Titans are doing. They have so much more money than you. They can afford to overpay Harold Landry. They can afford to overpay Milton Williams. They can afford to go out and get Josh Dobbs, who I know you love, but you don't really have a use for Josh Dobbs right now.
Patriots are doing what the Titans did last offseason. The question is, will their quarterback be better?
Well, the question is, are you building around a quarterback that can be trusted more than Will Levis?
They are in see what we got mode with Drake May, and the question is, will he be better than Will Levis? But it's similar feelings. Like the sugar rush is happening in New England.
All right, so Bert's making fun of him for having FOMO about what's going on in New England versus what's happening in Tennessee. I think what Tennessee is doing is what they decided to be, right? Selective. And they gave out the one Dan Moore contract, and they tried to get in on the Javon Holland money, and they couldn't pull it off. And so, or maybe the contract got too rich for them for a safety after they've already paid Dan Moore. I bet Dan Moore's the biggest contract that they sign. That feels like a pretty safe bet.
Oh, yeah, I would think so. The Patriots' biggest move at receiver was Mac Hollins, right? 2 years, $8.4 million.
And what did you say before we went on air today, Bert, about?
Solid feet.
Well, that.
Oh, great blocker.
Great blocker. So, Mike Vrabel, come on down.
It's right in.
Yeah, the Patriots had the most money in the sport to spend this offseason. The Titans were like somewhere between 11th and 12th. So you were never going to have a similar offseason, and they are signing good players because they have none. Their roster is terrible. You could argue, I don't know who has the worst roster between the Titans and the Patriots. It might be the Patriots.
Going into
now, the Patriots get an edge because we don't know enough about their quarterback yet, and so people are going to ding the Titans at quarterback just because you don't know enough about Drake May. But I mean, they are 1A and 1B as far as rotten rosters.
Yeah, I mean, no. Calvin Ridley is more than anything the Patriots have at wide receiver.
Yeah, they tried to get him last year.
I think Jeffrey Simmons, with the Barmore question marks, more than anything the Patriots currently have on the D-line. Now they add Milton Williams.
Milton Williams was a role player last year, so I'd be curious to see what he looks like in a larger sample size. I think I know he definitely played under 700 defensive snaps last year.
Titans are in a better place in terms of the bodies they have at corner. Actually, no, I take that back. Christian Gonzalez, an excellent player. And, who was the corner they signed to play opposite Gonzalez? The Patriots.
I don't know.
Oh, they made a really fun signing opposite. Oh, Travarius Ward.
Oh, MTSU legend. All right. Well, listen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Travarius Ward went to Indy. I'm wrong.
There's going to be
$100 million.
There's going to be a lot of Titans-Patriots comparisons, and especially because they play during the regular season. And
who did the Patriots sign at corner?
The Titans.
Carlton Davis.
Fired Mike Vrabel, and Carlton Davis, a nice player.
Carlton Davis.
Terrible jaw, though.
Oh, no?
Yeah, you got it. That's what happened to him in the regular season last year. But like week 15, week 16, he had a fractured jaw.
Ooh, that's no good. The Patriots-Titans comparisons are going to be unavoidable until whenever that game goes down and we can finally all move on and you'll have it settled head-to-head and you can take a sigh of relief. I'm sure there will be overreactions the day after, but then afterwards we can all collectively move on. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to play? Speaking of moving on. He's moving on from the Jets, or rather the Jets moved on from him.
Seems like one of two places, Pittsburgh or the other New York team.
All right, so, Minnesota was at least in the rumor mill, but it seems like that's the least likely scenario at this point. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk 15 hours ago said with the Jets agreeing to terms with Justin Fields and Sam Darnold poised to sign with the Seahawks, the Steelers don't have many viable veteran quarterback options. Steelers began talking to Aaron Rodgers several days ago with mounting indications that Fields would be leaving. The process accelerated. Per a source with knowledge of the situation, the Steelers and Rodgers could have an agreement in place as soon as Tuesday. He won't be able to sign until Wednesday when the Jets officially release him. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Bert, does that strike fear into your precious little Ravens heart?
Oh, so much fear. I would be terribly distraught if he signed there. They definitely shouldn't do that. Mike Tomlin would 100% be able to take him to the playoffs, even if he was injured. No, that doesn't bother me at all. I was more scared of Justin Fields, honestly, and the Ravens playing him twice last year. So I would say that
Ravens got both Russ Wilson games?
He got Russell Wilson got healthy for the first matchup, and then he stayed in the second matchup where he fumbled 2 yards from the goal line.
Yeah, the Steelers' regular season schedule was crazy backloaded with divisional games.
And they lost 5 in a row to end their season.
It was the tough end of their season where the Chiefs, the Texans, the Ravens, and the Steelers all had to play like 3 games in 10 days around Christmas.
I want to see Aaron Rodgers losing his mind at George Pickens running the wrong route so badly in 2025.
Who's going to lose their mind on whom more, DK Metcalf and George Pickens at Aaron Rodgers, or vice versa? Because those two wide receivers, man. Also, I continue to be confused about the George. Do we think George Pickens gets traded? Because they're not the same player.
He's got 1 year left on his deal.
That's what I'm saying.
You said yesterday they are the same player.
They are a similar personality type.
They are
not a
adjacent.
Same player. One does contested catches, the other does not.
No, they're very different.
Experience drops. One runs away from people, the other does not.
Yeah, they're very different. But I see what you're saying in terms of the demeanor.
They are the same personality for sure.
But Mike Tomlin is as well equipped as anybody to deal with that kind of thing. Do you remember a couple of years ago when people were freaking out about the Rodgers stuff? It was in the lead up to maybe the 2023 draft, maybe 22. And there was a moment in a game between the Steelers and Packers where Tomlin and Rodgers were making this eye contact that was caught on camera. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Tomlin and Rodgers?
Tomlin and Rodgers. No. Robert, I don't know if you remember, and they kind of had this moment where they were looking. It was caught on camera. This like eye contact and then like soft smile and nod. Like Tomlin kind of did this nod towards Rodgers, and he kind of gave him an eye back and gave him an approving nod back, and it was just like a mutual respect thing.
Conspiracy theories? Are you touting?
No, because I remember people yelling about it afterwards, like, "Oh, Rodgers to Pittsburgh."
No, the last Aaron Rodgers eye contact moment that I can remember is him glaring at Robert Saleh.
Oh, yeah.
And then before that, Adrian Peterson glaring at Sean Payton.
Don't give me a hug. Remember the non-hug moment?
Yeah, he stopped him from giving him a hug.
Okay, I'm looking at it. This was made into a GIF where Rodgers looks to the sideline at Tomlin, has a big cheeky smile and just nods, and Tomlin is smiling back and just nods right back at him. And this was all over the place.
I don't remember it.
But there would be a mutual respect there. Again, like that is the one head coach that I'd feel like, oh yeah, he can deal with that.
That might be the only one.
Apparently, we already have audio of DK and Pickens talking with Aaron Rodgers about fussing about running the wrong route.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Look at you, please, back there with yourself. All right, Titans targets left in free agency. Who's out there still to be had? Who's out there that you would even want? We'll talk about it. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Legal tampering continues with free agency officially beginning tomorrow in the NFL. A few deals coming down this morning, all quiet so far on the Titans front, at least today. In the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts added to the quarterback room, signing Daniel Jones on a one-year deal worth $14 million. Former Titans corner Christian Fulton has agreed to terms with the Kansas City Chiefs on a two-year, $20 million contract. That includes $15 million fully guaranteed. Fulton was a member of the LA Chargers last year. And former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Najee Harris heads to LA. He'll play for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers on a one-year deal worth up to just over $9 million. The University of Tennessee holds its pro day today in Knoxville. 16 former Vols will be in action, and the Nashville Predators hit the road tonight, facing the last-place San Jose Sharks, looking for a fourth straight win. Puck drop is at 9:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Not a lot of movement today in day 2 of legal tampering. There are moves being done, none of which are by the Titans yet, though things are still ongoing, of course, at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Just because you haven't read about it yet doesn't mean that they're not trying to get something done. But the question is, what can they get done, or what makes the most sense for them to do at this point of the game? The market has moved quickly. There wasn't a lot of depth in free agency to begin with. There's not a lot of depth on this Titans roster, and there's still 4 starting jobs available on offense, and I would argue 3 starting jobs available on defense. Lucas, as we sit here today, the Titans do not have a starting quarterback, do not have 2 out of 3, if we're assuming that they're going to operate in 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets. They do not have 2 additional starting wide receivers to pair with Calvin Ridley. They do not have a starting right guard. And on the defensive side, they need 2 edge rushers, even if you want to count Arden Key. I still think they need 2 pass rushers, and they need a safety.
Yeah, for sure.
So, how are they going to get this done with what is currently available to them?
Most of the retentions around the NFL have already happened. Mario Edwards Jr., Titans legend, is returning to Houston on a 2-year, $9.5 million contract. Does this basically mean that a Nick Westbrook-Akine return to Tennessee is less and less likely as every moment passes?
If he didn't get extended by now, I would be inclined to think that that's not happening. Now, I don't know definitively that's the case, but they re-signed, I always butcher his last name, Andrew Rupchich. I don't think that's the correct way to say it. I apologize. That's how it looks. What, Bert?
I think that's it. I think Rupsich is the way you say it.
I said Rupchich.
Oh, yeah, you're wrong as well.
Rupchich.
And Daryl Baker as well.
Daryl Baker and Morgan Cox. Nick Folk, by the way, you don't have a kicker technically under contract, so that looms large as well. Now, I know Nick Folk wanted to continue to kick in 2025, but as of yet, he is not attached to any team, including the team that he most recently played for. So, as you look at the Titans roster versus the needs that are still there to be addressed in free agency, we are assuming, and I think it's a pretty safe assumption, that the Titans, I would almost put it at a 100% chance that the Titans sign a quarterback in free agency.
For sure.
Wide receiver, I would assume that we are going to see them sign at least one mid-level player at the wide receiver position, with the hopes that they would potentially also draft a wide receiver, because they need to do both.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp is an option.
He's just kind of floating.
Well, he's expected to be released, right?
Oh, he has not been released yet.
He's not, but they are still actively pursuing a trade, and if they cannot pursue a trade, the plan is to release him.
They are. Schefter reported yesterday they will release him unless a trade materializes, which at that point, he's probably going to be released.
Mike Jones on YouTube says, Nick Westbrook-Akina is replaceable. Why do y'all keep mentioning him like he's elite? Nobody's talking about he's elite. You just don't have any wide receivers.
You definitely talked about him like he was elite last year.
Oh, yeah, last year. But not today.
You would take him over, what was it, Devontae Adams, George Pickens, Michael Pittman.
I'd do it all over again.
A lot of receivers, a lot of elite receivers on that list.
Michael Pittman is not an elite receiver. Get out of here.
That was probably better than NWI with respect to NWI.
I don't want to do this again. That was way too much time during that segment. With everything that they have right now, though, the places that they can still theoretically address, I feel okay about the guard free agency market, even though a ton of guards have already signed. I feel okay about the veteran quarterback market, even though a handful of quarterbacks have already signed. Certainly at the top of the market, those options are gone. Positions that I feel bad about, edge. They are not finding edge help, real edge help in what's remaining.
Yeah.
Like starting caliber edge help, unless you really believe that Joey Bosa at 30 years old can, beat the allegations that he is both the lesser Bosa and not healthy enough to get one of these next level lucrative contracts. I would be shocked if he gets anywhere close to Khalil Mack money 1 year, 18. 1 year would be as much as I'm willing to go with Joey Bosa at this point in time.
Otherwise, you're talking about Von Miller, who's about to be 36. Matt Judon, who's over 32.
Yeah, I'm good.
DeMarcus Lawrence, who's about to be 33.
Titans legend.
DeMarcus Lawrence?
Oh, yeah. No. DeMarcus Walker.
Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence never played for the Titans.
Wrong DeMarcus.
Zadarius Smith, who is 32. I mean, those are the options you're talking about.
Zadarius Smith, but
DeMarcus Walker is out there if you want that. He's 30.
Did that once. I'd be good with Zadarius Smith, but that's really about it for the kind of money that they're going to be expecting. Detroit cut him. He helped solidify some things for them in the absence of Aiden Hutchinson, but he wasn't enough. So it's really, to me, Zadarius Smith and a bunch of Jags.
Yeah. And then at wide receiver, what are you looking for at wide receiver?
Well, they've got the guy that's going to take they've got the big play receiver.
Yes, right. So you expect them to add to that room in the draft. There's certainly a hope that that's what happens.
You need a true slot, and you need a legitimate X wide receiver, because Calvin Ridley in Jacksonville, deploying him that way did not work.
And if it is going to be Cam Ward in Tennessee, is there a veteran option out there that could help a young quarterback that isn't too close to the end where you're overly wary of spending, like a Keenan Allen? Who will be 33 next season.
Oh, man. I don't want multiple receivers over the age of 30 starting for this team again. There were 3 last year.
Titans are very much in a beggars can't be choosers situation at the moment.
Oh, I know, which is why I think if we're sticking with their selective type of situation or their selective mantra in free agency, that I would not necessarily expect them to find starting caliber wide receiver help at 2 different wide receiver positions.
Do you want a list of available free agent receivers that are below the age of 30?
Sure. Is it going to make me sad first?
Yes, Deontay Johnson, who was on about 17 NFL teams. I think he played for half the league last year.
The Ravens are
booted off of each one.
The Ravens are so smart to do what they did with his rights, so they can get a comp pick out of that.
Yeah,
well done by them.
Devin Duvernay, who is 27.
You know what? They need a returner. And Devin Duvernay Bert, wasn't he a Pro Bowler for the Ravens? Duvernay.
He was a Pro Bowl returner. Yes.
Yeah, right. Not as a receiver.
I think it was an All-Pro. He was an All-Pro returner, so even a higher caliber player. I had to double check that.
And it's been a while, and he signed a with
the Jags last year
deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and obviously that did not go to plan either. They had their own issues.
Yeah, he would be as a returner. He's never had more than 49 targets in the season. He's never had more than 407 yards in the season. That was in 2022 with the Ravens.
I'm good with that. If he comes in here with potentially some utility as a wide receiver, but he's a returner, I'm good with that.
KJ Osborne, free agent, 27, about to be 28.
Yeah.
Tough year last year, right? Didn't really hit with the Patriots like he thought he was going to. But when he was with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, he was a very valuable player, a high-level wide receiver 3. So if he can return back to those levels, a place that's going to utilize a wide receiver 3, maybe. But last year was lackluster for sure.
I'm probably going to stop you at Devin Duvernay, but you can continue if you want.
DJ Chark.
He had a pretty significant fall off, too, from when he peaked for a hot second.
Yeah, he did next to nothing in L.A. with the Chargers last season.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we could stop it there. You can go further than Zay Jones.
So it's
about to be
Kupp.
30.
It's Cooper Kupp at the end of the rope, essentially.
Elijah Moore is about to be 25, but
he has had such a disappointing NFL career. And he's been banged by the quarterback situations that he's played with, because he was a Brown the first year they signed Watson, and he was drafted by the Jets before that, and then had a falling out, essentially. I think he was requesting a trade by the time that ended up coming to pass. I don't remember who his quarterback was with the Jets.
Zach Wilson.
Oh, okay.
I think he had a little Flacco mixed in as well.
Little Flacco.
Yeah, receiver. Huge need right now.
For everybody. And how much do you want to play Elijah Moore or Devin Duvernay or...
Chris points out Tyler Lockett is out there.
Yeah, he's towards the end of his rope, too. I mean, I don't know.
He's 32.
I would it's not a great wide receiver class. There also are some players, I think, on every day of the draft that could help a team like this. Are you willing to spend 2 draft picks on receiver? That's a complicated question.
We'll see.
Ray Carthon never drafted a wide receiver before the 6th round. Jaquan Jackson was a 6th-round pick. Colton Dowell was a 7th. This is, again, like right tackle, this is a problem they've been chasing for years. 4 years. A.J. Brown's trade was the first-round draft night of 2022. It is now March the 11th, 2025, and we are still talking about how the hell they fill that void. Whoa.
Does it ever bother you guys that we're like, oh, yeah, he's 32. He's almost done. 32. He's old as hell. It's like, I'm 32. It's like, am I at the end of my rope?
Yes.
Like we're finally at the age no longer where it's like, yeah, I'm the same age as this guy. Look what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm the same age as that old fart.
Wait a minute.
When did you have that most stark realization? Because for me, it was DeAndre Hopkins. When D-Hop signed with the Titans, and I had thought my entire life that DeAndre Hopkins was like 10 years older than me. And then I realized, he's a year older than me. And we're talking about him potentially not being able to, I mean, at the time, there was a lot of discussion about, can D-Hop still do it anymore? And he had 1,000 yards after that.
I had a real one yesterday when they were like, yeah, this guy's 26. It's like, yeah, he's kind of hitting his prime. I was like, 26? When I was 26, I was shotgunning beers in like strip club parking lots. Like I wasn't doing anything meaningful with my life, but here's this kid signing like a $45 million deal. Good for you, dude. You're on the track for success. I'm over here wishing I was in the glory days.
We're on multiple years of draft picks that were born at this point well into the 2000s.
Are you 32 already?
I'll be 33 in August.
Oh. You're a year older than me?
Oh, don't do that. Why'd you do that in the microphone?
Because he's young and he's still, or younger than us. So
when y'all bend over, does y'all's back pop?
No.
Not yet.
The thing that pops for me is my knee, my right knee.
My knee. That's terrible. I would hate it if my knees went. You know the muscle that's most coordinated with lifelong healthfulness?
Muscle? No,
yeah.
I mean, the heart?
It's your legs. It's your quad. As soon as your legs go, you're gone, dude.
As opposed to your heart.
Nah.
A muscle.
What's the biggest organ in the human body, Buck?
Skin?
God dang it. Really thought that I would get you there.
Well, you were wrong because you said in the human body, and of course that is on the human body, but that's neither here nor there.
It's like, is water wet, dude? Stop it.
How has free agency affected the Titans' potential draft strategy? Find out next.
It is lunchtime, which means Hattie B's, and I have great news for you. You don't have to move. Don't have to move a muscle, except for when you get up and go get the Hattie B's that has been delivered to your door, because delivery through the app or online at HattieB.com is free this week through March 16th. That's right. Download the app today. You get a free dessert just by doing so, and delivery is free. Visit any one of their 7 locations. The Factory at Franklin, which, by the way, is doing breakfast on the weekends. Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, the Nashville Airport, even at Nissan Stadium. Hattie B is a family-run restaurant serving up your favorite Southern food, authentic Nashville hot chicken. You know it's the best in the world. I would not lead you astray when it comes to food. Pretty big basketball tournament coming up. Have people over for your watch party and let Hattie be your guest of honor and order through the app or online to feed your watch party. Again, Hattie B's delivery free for the rest of this week through the 16th. So download the Hattie B's app today.
Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. So free agency, where has it most impacted the Titans and the potential draft strategy that this team should take? Again, at my core, I know they're not saying it publicly, but I believe with every ounce of my being, Lucas, if they got a good enough offer to move out of number 1 overall, that they would take that offer and run with it. But there's not necessarily been bidding for the number 1 overall pick. It kind of seems like the Giants are going to have an offer, and the Giants are probably not willing to negotiate against themselves. We'll see how much more desperate they get, because the Aaron Rodgers domino, if he goes to Pittsburgh over New York, that may fuel some additional desperation among the Giants brass, who have been given just a little short of a mandate to win. Do something or you're fired.
What are you talking about, a mandate? That's what we did last weekend.
You and me?
Yeah. Did you
Where'd
not
y'all
enjoy
go?
that?
Where did we go on a mandate?
To see Cat Williams.
Well, but my girlfriend went and your girlfriend went.
Yeah, but they didn't really talk. It was mostly me and you.
They were just kind of there.
Well, Bert kept shushing them every time they would open their mouths to speak.
Well, you couldn't hear, so it was very loud.
A conversation for another day. By the way, thank you very much to Two Rivers Ford who let us attend the Cat Williams show in their suite at Bridgestone Arena.
Loved the limousine. It was incredible.
One deal we have not talked about, the Cleveland Browns acquiring Kenny Pickett, sending Dorian Thompson-Robinson and a 5th-round pick to Philadelphia. We mentioned the Adam Schefter reporting, and it's worth noting that was pre-Combine when he went on ESPN Cleveland and said the thing he is most sure of about this draft is that the Browns will take a quarterback.
Well, he wasn't on ESPN Cleveland. He said it on his podcast. But
ESPN Cleveland is just what grabbed it and put it out there. Yeah. Understood. But he said it, and that was pre-Combine. If you're the Giants and everything is pointing towards the Titans taking Cam Ward number 1 overall.
I think so.
And I agree. I mean, with Darnold off the market, it's just so hard for me to envision any quarterback solution that does not include Cam Ward when you have the number 1 pick in 2025. Like, surely the Titans are not going to go into this season with Mac Jones and Will Levis on their roster.
What if they get the trade?
Surely. That's not what's going to happen.
Are you so sure?
So
I'm not.
But there could be a point here. Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh. Titans take Cam Ward. Browns draft Shedeur Sanders. What do the Giants do?
William Damn Levis. Come on down.
They are in desperation mode, and they should be, because there is a real scenario where this just ends up being totally out of their control.
You don't move out of that number 1 overall draft pick unless you get two firsts. 1 first this year and a future first. That's the bare minimum. And I don't think they're going to get it unless New York really kind of goes haywire here, because they gave Javon Holland that contract. They swung and missed on Stafford. I would call it a swing and a miss. I don't know how hard they swung for Aaron Rodgers, but there was at least some level of interest there. And it doesn't seem like they're going to get him unless they pull a coup underneath Pittsburgh at this point in time. That has the biggest level of implication on the Titans draft, I think, at this point, is what happens with Aaron Rodgers.
Because of the Giants' role in all of this? Yeah, for sure. If the Giants sign Rodgers,
it's done.
You're guaranteed. Titans are going to stick and pick. Surely.
If Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, then it at least leaves the door open for that potential trade-up. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can look at this. I think that they've effectively taken themselves out of the tackle market in the draft with J.C. Latham and now Dan Moore. It doesn't mean that they're not going, at least in the first round, right? Like if they were to draft Will Campbell with the 6th overall pick, I mean, they're not trading with Vegas now at this point, it seems. Maybe Vegas still comes up because Geno's not getting a contract extension. Geno is on an expiring deal. So Vegas, I guess you could keep some hope alive that they might try and bid up for Cam Ward, but there's no indication at this point in time. Would you take a wide receiver in the first round if you traded back as the Titans?
How far back? Because I don't know that there's a wide receiver in this class worthy of even a top 10 pick.
It's a tough sell. It's Matthew, depending on where you look, it's Matthew Golden, it's Tet McMillan, and it's Luther Burden. Luther Burden seems to have taken the biggest dip among the three of them. I don't know if there's a wide receiver worthy of a top 10 pick.
Yeah, other than, as Robert correctly points out, Travis Hunter.
Fair. But here, they view him as a corner.
Yep.
Primarily.
Brian Callahan has said that.
So that's what I'm factoring into my analysis, because the Titans have said specifically they'd start him at corner and try and figure out, a role for him on offense, even if he's willing to play both. I think that the other place that this impacts, I think Abdul Carter's still on the board at number 1 overall. Where is their pass rush going to come from? And I know that this is a deep edge group and a deep defensive line group in the upcoming draft class. So could they take the Ohio State player, Jack Sawyer, in the second round, 35th overall, and that fill a need? Yes. Would you rather have Abdul Carter in the first and first overall, or even in a trade back, I guess, because somebody would be trading up for the right to draft a quarterback? Would you rather have Abdul Carter in the top 3 or Jack Sawyer at 35?
Who's playing quarterback if you take Abdul Carter in the top 3?
Mac Jones and Will Levis. It may not matter, right? I mean, this is the thing, though. Like, no matter what they do, they are going to be a not good football team in 2025, right? We are all preparing for that inevitability.
Yeah.
I got to mentally prepare myself now in March, because I know by the time I get to September and October, I'm going to be bitching about it.
Yeah, I think an organization itself saying patience over panic is, in so many words, saying, hey, it's going to take a minute. Might not look so good.
This team has no pass rushers, 1 receiver. They have a quarterback, but really they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a right guard. They don't have a safety. Not all of this is going to be able to get accomplished at a reasonably high level this year.
They have a safety. They need another safety.
They need another safety. They probably need 2, though, Lucas.
Yes.
Like they need safeties, plural.
Yes.
They need depth. Because not all of these guys are going to play 17 games in 2025. I am curious to see. So another domino in here that could impact the Titans' draft strategy is Kirk Cousins. Is there any team, does New York get desperate enough to trade for Kirk Cousins? Because that would then upend a potential desperation ploy for the number 1 overall pick out of New York. I have heard absolutely nothing around Kirk Cousins. There has been no reporting as to teams interested in Kirk Cousins. Maybe we get through the first couple of waves of free agency and Kirk gets moved. I mean, Kirk could get moved on draft night for all we know.
New free agent pass rusher just dropped.
For?
The 49ers are releasing Leonard Floyd, according to Adam Schefter.
Leonard Floyd has been in the league for so long.
Yeah, he's 32 years old. He will be 33 in early September, 8.5 sacks last season with San Francisco.
Started all 17 games for them as well.
He has not missed a game since his second year in the league in 2017, which is incredible, actually.
The bigger story around this is, does that mean that the Joey Bosa decision between Miami and San Francisco has been made, and they're making room for Joey Bosa?
That would be a natural assumption to come to, because they have talked a lot, or at least there's been a lot of scuttlebutt. Maybe it's just internet talk, but reuniting Nick and Joey Bosa in San Francisco would be
Bosa Bros,
a decent ploy.
Smash Brothers, I'm sure they could think of something there. Joey Bosa would not fit the mold of availability that has carried through the Titans' early movement in free agency. Leonard Floyd most certainly would. The dude is on the field and plays, and there could be a drop-off coming.
He has been on the field, and he has played. That's the thing. You don't want to be on the back end of the Leonard Floyd situation, because he got a lot of there was a lot of conversation around him when he was with the Rams about him just kind of grifting off Aaron Donald's pressures, but he was a pretty good player, and he's been a pretty good player across the course of his career. So Again, Leonard Floyd can be part of the solution, but that still means you have to draft another one. There's too many needs out here at this point in time. The Titans needed 2 pass rushers before they cut Harold Landry, and they need 2 pass rushers after they cut Harold Landry. And there's no clear and obvious path forward here. I would rather have Leonard Floyd over Bosa for the reason that you just mentioned. If I'm going to gamble on one, I'd gamble on the one who's played more football.
Yeah.
Who's been more available.
And more productive.
Yes. Wait, Leonard Floyd been more productive than Joey Bosa? When he's been out there. I mean, maybe just by percentage of snaps played.
Yeah, again, I know we're talking about sacks here, but Joey Bosa has not had a double-digit sack season since 2021.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, he has had 2.5, 6.5, and 5 sacks. Leonard Floyd has eclipsed those numbers each of the last 5 years of his career. I'm trying to find out where he ranked in pressures last season.
So the biggest domino that could yet impact the Titans is Kirk Cousins, right?
Leonard Floyd, 55th with 21 pressures in 2024.
But anywhere of any position, Kirk Cousins would be the next most impactful move. If something was to happen with Kirk Cousins, they could just keep him as the backup in Atlanta. I think if they got a good enough offer from Kirk. So New York is interesting here. If you're the Giants, and there's probably some Giants fans within the sound of my voice somewhere. It's a big enough fan base. God knows it's a miserable one lately, which is kind of crazy because they have 2 Super Bowls in the 21st century, but whatever. If you're the Giants, would you rather trade for Kirk Cousins and his contract, which is substantial, or trade up in a desperation move to draft Cam Ward? I don't know what the answer for Brian Daboll would be in that situation. I think Kirk Cousins gives him the more direct path to winning right away, which seems to be at a premium for both of those people.
Yeah, I mean, what's the sort of middle point? Like, how much would you have to win with a rookie quarterback for that beacon of hope of having a rookie quarterback to be able to?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think just having the rookie quarterback does not buy you time.
Oh no, it's oftentimes not enough, especially in a situation like that. But JD3 says Cousins isn't going anywhere. Who would want to trade for that contract?
I mean, it's bad. I'll pull it up on Spot Track so I can read the specific details.
Another free agent receiver off the board. The Cardinals are re-signing Zay Jones, 1 year, $4.4 million.
While you're looking at those contract details, if you're Pittsburgh, would you rather acquire that contract for Kirk Cousins, or would you pay the asking price of Aaron Rodgers, which is we don't really know how much money he's looking for, but which one would you rather pay?
So Kirk Cousins is set to have a $40 million cap hit, up from 25 in 2025. His base salary is $27.5. What is Aaron Rodgers' market going to be? That's such an unknown to me, though.
Yeah, I have no idea what kind of number we'd be talking about.
Because New York gave him a huge extension as soon as he got there, pretty much, and that was dumb. I mean, he's 37, Kirk Cousins. He'll be 37 if he's not already.
Aaron Rodgers
is 40, will be 41.
And had a better season than Kirk Cousins, statistically.
We played more games.
Yes.
It's tough for Pittsburgh, too, because you could say, well, we don't want to trade for him. We don't want that contract. Well, then it's a waiting game to try to call the Falcons' bluff. Are you really going to keep him or cut him? How long could you wait to add Aaron Rodgers if you think the 2 quarterbacks are comparable?
Aaron Rodgers will be 2 years removed from the Achilles injury. So will Kirk Cousins. One is 37, the other is 41. There were signs of life from Aaron Rodgers towards the end of their season. I think Kirk's injury situation also factored into him getting benched because Kirk did have one of the best single quarterback performances of the season last year on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
The most passing yards in Falcons single game history.
Yeah.
It was 500 plus.
It was the craziest thing because he was coming off the Achilles, but his best football happened in the first quarter of the season. And then there was an insane drop-off. I believe he led the league in interceptions, was at least tied for it. And then we find out there's an ankle injury involved that we didn't really know about. And that was really more of the issue as opposed to coming back off the Achilles, which he came back from pretty quickly for a guy his age. And we haven't even mentioned Russell Wilson in all of this. And this report from Connor Hughes of SNY TV up in New York saying the Titans are among the teams interested in Russ?
I don't think that's real. I think that Russ would be interested in the Titans.
I was going to say that's got to be coming from
that feels
Russ's camp more so than the Titans.
Again, Connor Hughes is a very reputable reporter in New York. He's got great sources with the Jets. I'm sure that leads to more league-wide sources as well, more contact with agents. Russell Wilson's representation is putting that out there into the universe. I will recklessly speculate to that effect. But if you're asking me where is it most likely coming from, Russ or the Titans,
yeah. But we're talking about this little carousel now, and as we're talking about it, the QB carousel of QB-needy teams of Titans, Giants, Steelers, there's 3 quarterbacks we're talking about here, Rodgers, Russ, draft pick.
Could Russ get left out?
No, I don't think so.
Chairs.
Russ will end up somewhere.
As a starter?
Again, we just keep saying it at every turn. The demand has been greater than the supply.
All right, how about this? Would you rather have Kirk Cousins on his contract at $40 million a year or Aaron Rodgers closer to 30? If you're the Steelers. Because I'm assuming...
if you're the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers.
At closer to $30 million AAV.
Yeah. He was healthier, played better football last year, and Mike Tomlin can deal with that.
Yeah, but does he want to? I mean, I know he can. He's had crazier situations there. But does he want to? I wish I knew how to answer that question. Let's go to Darrington up next. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to participate. What you got?
This show is so great with Bert here. I don't know. If you're not from around here, back in the day, Nashville used to have this store called Bert's I'm Here, and you got 10% off if you run in and you say Bert's I'm Here. Every time you call the radio, you say Bert's I'm Here and get an extra 10 seconds on your phone call. No. I'm just saying.
Down with that.
Good to me. Hey, so my thing is, do you think Tennessee might make an offer for a 1-year deal with Stephon Diggs? Or do you think Mike Berganzi might want to rekindle some history and go get someone like a Tyreek Hill that wants out of Miami? Do you think that's even plausible or even something that's obtainable? I'll go back to listen to your great minds deliberate on that.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
I always thought Darrington was a great caller.
He doesn't get 10 extra seconds. Tyreek Hill has walked those comments back.
Yeah, right after the regular season finale, he basically said, I want out. And then he not only walked back those comments, but apologized on Kay Adams' show at Radio Row at the Super Bowl, said his mom called him right after she heard him make those comments, was not happy with him. So there is no noise whatsoever around Tyreek Hill getting moved from Miami.
Another pass rusher has come off the board. Bert, what do you have back there?
No, you go ahead. You say it. You say his name.
Yeah, say it.
Joe Tryon. Joe Tryon. Shoyinka.
Why is it Shoyinka? Shoyinka. It's spelled Yinka. You're saying it like it's Yonka.
Why are you asking me? You can look this up for yourself.
Browns.
The only exposure I've had to that player is he had a hell of a preseason game against the Titans 100 years ago.
Brown signing him to a 1-year deal worth just under $5 million.
I love that Tyreek Hill's mom made him come out and apologize on the Kay Adams show. I don't want Stephon Diggs.
Where did that come from?
The call. Thank you for listening to Darrington's call. He said, would you do a 1-year deal with Stephon Diggs, or would Mike Borgonzi want to rekindle the flame?
Okay, I missed the Diggs part of the call.
With Tyreek Hill. I do not want Stephon Diggs. He is coming off an injury. Was it an Achilles or an ACL?
ACL.
Yeah, ACL. So those things you can come back from, but no. He was already a lesser player when Buffalo moved on from him.
Yeah.
Now he's a lesser player that's coming off an ACL tear that I assume is still the person that Stephon Diggs is, and I don't have a problem with that personality type if he's good.
Yeah, he was productive last year. I mean, he was on pace for a 1,000-yard season in Houston, but it's hard to imagine he'd be happy here.
No more 30-plus-year-old wide receivers. Enough. You got away with it with D-Hop. You might get away with it with Ridley.
He got Ridley when he was still in his 20s.
29.
Yeah, still 20s. Right. Hey, I'm 29.
Yeah, you're old.
Close to 30.
Every day. Last call for phone calls if you got them. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in we will update some polls. Is Twitter working? Can we update the polls?
Sure is.
All right, find out next. Will I have enough money when I retire? When should I start to draw from Social Security? Don't let these questions keep you up at night. Let me introduce you to a team that's there to keep you on the right track and guide you through it. That's Trajan Wealth. Trajan Wealth, not just any financial firm. They're your partners in securing your financial future. They're more than just a fiduciary firm at Trajan Wealth. They're a family-owned, veteran-led team that puts your needs first. Let their decades of experience specializing in retirement planning and wealth management work for you. Trajan Wealth offers free consultations to help you develop your plan and your peace of mind. So call them today at 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. Or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Lucas, free delivery.
All week through the 16th, which is Sunday. So HattieB.com, the Hattie B's app. You get a free dessert just by downloading the app. And I love this time of year. Obviously, NFL free agency is going crazy.
Not here.
But, yeah, not quite here. But the amount of significant basketball being played. SEC tournament starts tomorrow. We'll be at Bridgestone Arena. Very excited.
Come say hi.
But
where are we in the concourse at Bridgestone Arena?
We will let everybody know as soon as we know, which I imagine we'll find out upon walking in. There are 3 mid-major championships today. I love this week because you can go home and watch teams playing for their NCAA tournament lives every day before even the SEC tournament starts. And shout out, by the way, to Lipscomb.
I was just going to say.
Who's going dancing this year.
Very exciting. So, basketball all over the place. We will have probably press conferences at some point for, are they just going to trot Dan Moore up there and be like, all right, talk to him. That's what we did. And free agency, because, listen, free agency hasn't begun yet. Free agency begins at 3 p.m. tomorrow. The Titans are clearly and obviously not in on the first wave. They signed that Dan Moore contract, which made a lot of people in the league say, what the are they doing for that kind of a player, giving that kind of money? But that's what it costs to get on the tackle game. And we played the John Ledyard thing earlier, and I think it's worth reading what I asked Ramon Foster to text me yesterday, just a couple of bullet points on him, because who better than a former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman of 11 years to provide analysis on Dan Moore?
He would have just missed him, right, as a teammate. Moore was a 2021 draft pick.
When did Ramon retire? Pre-COVID, right?
Yeah. Moan was here 19 or 20 was Moan's first year at the Zone.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't here yet.
I believe.
So, Ramon texted me yesterday, which was very good of him because he's on vacation. He says, here's why I like Dan. First thing, his market was set up because he's a free agent. He had multiple teams vying for him, so that's what drove the number up. The market sets that, can't fault the player, which I do not. I do not fault Dan Moore for getting paid. I fault the Titans.
Yeah, Ramon retired 1 year before they drafted Dan Moore.
Okay. Dan, recently 26. Most offensive linemen's best years are from years 4 to 9. He's at that spot. Okay, I'll hear you on that. Been consistently available, hardly misses a snap. Love that. Would like for that to carry over here. L'Jarius Sneed was too until he wasn't, so keep that in mind. Pass protection is his specialty that he's built a lot on and has got better at his run blocking. Ledyard pointed out a couple of different ways, though, that they protect their offensive linemen in pass protection. Sacks attached to him are partially a result of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields this past year moving the pocket. Those two dudes accumulate a lot of sacks in the system. The tape shows that, of which I did go confirm for myself. You could watch half of Dan Moore's sacks that he gave up last year and understand that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields were not helping that cause. Last couple of years, Pittsburgh has been drafting first-round tackles Broderick Jones and Troy Fautano, and he's consistently held Jones off. Didn't even shun him when most vets are jerks. He uses a different word there that I can't use. Jones has come out numerous times praising Dan for taking him under his wing and trying to coach him. Great locker room guy and is a natural leader, which vibes with what I was texted yesterday from my friend who works for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who said, great locker room guy. Average player, good person, hard worker, solid, doesn't suck. Sucked prior to this year. 2023, he sucked. 2024, best year, contract year, good for him. He's cashed in. We'll see what happens here in Tennessee. I don't care what they've done. I mean, obviously it matters what they've done in their previous stuffs, but it changes as soon as you change your uniforms. L'Jarius Sneed's 2 Super Bowl championships with the Kansas City Chiefs do not matter to me. What matters to me is that he played 6 games in a Titans uniform last year.
I don't think there was this overwhelmingly visceral reaction nationally to this deal. I don't think people were gagging when they saw, they were like, wow, that's a lot of money. But
did you listen to the Athletic podcast yet this morning?
I did. I listened to Robert May's breakdown of it.
Did you hear Robert May's talk about it being a surprise and then going into, well, that's what it costs to get the best free?
Yeah.
Yeah. He started off with, it turned a lot of heads when they signed that contract.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. And then he was like, well, but you know what? That makes sense.
For the player. Again, you can sell yourself on this deal. Is he going to pay you off on selling yourself on this deal? We have no idea the answer to that.
It is without question an overpay. But a huge position of need and at the top of the market, and you just hope he will bring dependability.
We Suck luxury tax undefeated. We ready to actually do the polls today?
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What in sports made you say, oh no, this week? Joe says the thought of Mac Jones starting for the Titans. He spells Mac, M-A-C-K. It looks very different from just M-A-C.
If he does get signed, we have to have imaging that is 1045, the Jones.
No, we don't.
I'm in charge of it, so there's nothing you can do about it.
That's Triple B talking.
Proceed.
Oh, you have no thoughts?
I don't care.
Olivia says the Houston Texans moved to trade Laramie Tunsil with some picks. C.J. Stroud got killed last year, and Tunsil was their only good lineman, and they traded him away for picks. That's what made her say, oh, no.
Sell high, I guess, is the Texans' logic. No clear and obvious solution for them at left tackle, though. So a problem that they've got to work through. But they're punting on bad decisions like Kenyon Green. They got a trade with some draft capital. They sent some draft capital with him. They got some draft capital back en route to continuing to retool their offensive line.
What did you think of the Dan Moore Jr. contract? Like it, love it, or hate it? 68.4% say they liked it. 27.4% say they hated it. Only 4.2% say they loved it.
No, there's not really an option for how I feel about it.
That's fine.
It's fine. I don't like it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's fine.
After the Dan Moore Jr. signing, what is the next area of need the Titans should target in free agency? Rube says Mac Jones. Morris says guard and swing tackle. Santiago Vescovy, but spelled with an X instead of an S, says wide receiver.
Not right now, based on the wide receivers. There's still good guards that can be found out in free agency. I'm pro that.
There's a shocking amount of people still saying offensive tackle.
Those people are not paying attention to the last couple of deals that got done. Cam Robinson is still technically out there. I bet the Patriots try and make a play for him because they need a left tackle too.
Yeah, a lot of people saying wide receiver and safety and edge. There are a lot of needs.
There's one person, Jay, on the YouTube chat says, I'd give Tannehill a call right now. If I was Ryan Tannehill, I would see your phone call and I would hit decline.
Leonard Floyd, I think, is on my wish list for the Titans.
That's cool.
After the Niners just dropped him. Who is the worst quarterback Mike Tomlin could make the playoffs with? Brent says Russell Wilson, who we just made the playoffs with.
No, Kenny Pickett was worse than Russ.
Yeah, but how many games did Pickett start?
Didn't Pickett make the playoffs? Year? Kenny Pickett made the playoffs.
Did he? Was he?
He had like a hand injury, or maybe he just wears gloves.
How much did Mason Rudolph play in that season?
Mason Rudolph played the last 3 or 4 games of the year.
Okay, if the answer isn't Pickett, then it's Mason Rudolph.
Well, yeah, Rudolph had to finish out the year. They made the playoffs. They won some big games.
I think Mason won 3 straight games. He lost the playoff game.
Yeah, so I guess we have our answer.
Rudolph's better than Pickett.
Yeah, I mean, and then you put Aaron Rodgers in there. It's like, okay, yeah, they could do this. Those are the polls.
All right, very good. That's the show. Primetime tonight. Well, we'll see about primetime tonight. If there's a big enough contract to pry me off the couch for primetime tonight, then we'll do primetime tonight.
Sounds like no primetime.
No, it sounds like you're doing primetime with Sam, not me. See you tomorrow.